Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most electrifying sports podcast in the 716. You are now tuned into Buffalo Sports Insiders 2024 NFL Draft Special. Welcome. I am Justin Cejak, your host, with Isaiah Marquez, Deshaun Stevenson, and Deanna Suchet Soto.
Got that.
Yeah, let's make it sure. Listen, I'm a returning member, okay? But hey, we got a big night tonight. Bills on the clock at number 28. The draft is actually just now getting started with the Bears on the clock at 1, likely to select Caleb Williams. Guys, what do we think of the draft tonight?
I'm thinking Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got another guy coming in whose opinion we'll all value very much. We've got Howard Simon coming in. Howard, thank you for joining us, the former WGR radio host, Buff State alum, and recently announced as a 2024 BBA Hall of Famer. Howard, thank you for joining us on draft night.
My pleasure. What are we thinking? Bills are definitely going to draft a running back. You guys probably.
Oh yeah, running back. I think they're in the market for a quarterback. I heard.
Okay, yeah, this guy they got. I think he's washed up.
Yeah, I know. I'm sick and tired of this Josh guy. But hey, Howard, thank you for joining us. It's going to be a big night for the Bills. A lot of speculation on what they could do. Howard, give me a rundown of your top 3 needs for the Buffalo Bills.
Wide receiver, and wide receiver.
I have to agree with that.
100%.
And now,
wide receiver number 1, obviously. I really don't think there's a debate, and we can get into that. But I think that's clear number 1. I think safety would probably be number 2.
Yeah.
And after that, you can make an argument in a number of different areas. If you look at the depth chart, they still need to add some bodies along the defensive line. You can make a case for cornerback depth. After your top 3, you've got questionable depth there. So I think though, and you know what? Honestly, I wouldn't rule out offensive line because a couple things to keep in mind. One, Spencer Brown is going to be an unrestricted free agent after next season, and what's going on the interior of the line, right? Look at what happened in the offseason. Does Connor McGovern just slide right in and take over center and he's okay there? We don't know. David Edwards is supposed to start at left guard. Honestly, I think interior offensive line is something you'd have to look at for sure. I'd be surprised if they don't draft for both lines at some point over the next 3 days.
Yeah, that seems very much so like the Sean McDermott thing, right? You can never hurt by adding the offensive line to the defensive line. As we know, it's going to be a bit of a different look for Josh Allen. People underrate how difficult it could be to transition between centers with Connor McGovern moving in there. Now, Howard, you mentioned wide receiver 3 times, in fact, which maybe they'll take as many as that. But I want to ask you, who are your personal, realistic picks at 23 at wide receiver, or 28 rather?
Well, I think they'll trade up. I would not sit at 28. If last week when Brandon Beane talked to the media, right, he said something to the effect of, he would love to go to bed Thursday night knowing he got the guy he wanted. Well, I'm going to guess whoever they have the highest guy or the higher guys on their wide receiver board are not going to be on the board at 28 when the Bills pick. So I think they have to trade up, folks. I really do. I think they will trade up. I will be disappointed if they don't. I think you go all out. You target the guy. If you can't get Marvin Harrison, assuming he's number 1 on your board, who's number 2? Who's number 3? I think you move up and get the best guy you can get at wide receiver. The question is, how high do you have to move up? What do you have to give up? That is more of a discussion, and that's where maybe the Bills don't necessarily make a blockbuster trade. But I think they'll move up to try and get one of their guys.
Right. We take a look at the top 3 guys. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr., kind of this prodigy guy out of Ohio State for the past 3+ years at this point. Malik Neighbors, the explosive receiver out of LSU. And obviously, Rome Odunze, who, my personal favorite. This guy's a route running Jesus, if you ask me. He knows how to move his feet. But hey, if the Bills move up, we talked about this big haul that they're going to have to move. Reminiscent of a Julio Jones 2011 draft move where the Falcons moved up from the back end of the first round all the way up to, I think, pick 7 it was. Obviously, you said it's worth it for the Bills. If Rome Odunze comes into this offense, you're looking at an offense with Rome Odunze, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, and James Cook, and now you're really cooking. Now, in the scenario where the Bills don't go receiver, you mentioned offensive line, you mentioned defensive line, cornerback.
Yep.
Who are some of the prospects that you have your eyes on potentially on the defensive side of the ball? There's a Cooper DeJean from Iowa who plays multiple positions. Who do you like, Howard?
I think if they don't go wide receiver at all, I would think the next thing would be safety. Because right now, again, let's look at the depth chart. Now, we know Jordan Poyer is gone. Micah Hyde's still up in the air, right? Apparently he hasn't decided whether he wants to come back or not. If he does say he wants to play, do the Bills bring him back on a one-year deal? So that's still up in the air. But if you look at it, it's Taylor Rapp, it's Mike Edwards, it's DeMar Hamlin and Cam Lewis in some way, shape, or form. And we know how important that position has been. Quite honestly, we've lived a luxurious life for 7 years having Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde back there, the same guys for 7 years, and pretty durable and never having to worry about the last line of the defense and all the responsibilities that those guys manage for this defense. So I know we get hung up on wide receiver, and I am too, but I think having the right safeties in this defense is important as well. So if they don't do wide receiver, I think the next pick that makes sense is to get the best safety on their board, whether that's Cooper DeJean, whether it's the Newbin kid at Minnesota. I think you would have to go safety after that because there's no guarantee that Rapp and Edwards are just going to come in and do what Poyer and Hyde did. And those are older guys anyway. You got to get a young safety in here.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's kind of a bad draft, Howard, to pick safety. I'd say safety is one of the weaker position groups in this draft, unfortunately. But however, fortunately, like we said, they should be primarily focused on that wide receiver. Now, when you look at the offense, Howard, what are you personally looking out of a wide receiver? Do you want someone who can move the chains 10 yards here, 5 yards here? Or do you personally want an explosive guy who can get down the field where we can utilize Josh Allen's deep arm talent?
Yeah, I'll take the latter. I really do. I think they need that explosive presence, the game-breaking ability. Look, they need to replace the role that Stephon Diggs played in this offense. And I know his numbers went down over the last half of last season, but Diggs was that game breaker. He was the guy. Well, first, he was so many different things. I mean, he just was uncoverable, but he could also make plays downfield. They need to replace that element. You know, Diggs is gone. Say what you want about Gabe Davis. And he was frustrated because he was so up and down, but he had the ability to also make big plays downfield. Now they're both gone. So I like Shakir. I think Samuel is a nice pickup, but you need someone who will scare the bejesus out of the opposing defense and have safeties worry about getting beat over the top and have someone who can take advantage of the cannon arm your quarterback has. So ideally, I'd like a blazer. I'd like someone who can be a big playmaker downfield.
Well, lucky for you, Howard, there was a guy in this draft from Texas, Xavier Worthy, who runs that 4.21 record-setting 40-yard dash. Maybe he's the pick. We don't know yet. Now, in the scenario where the Bills do take a receiver first round, right? Second round, they wait until 60. Third round, they don't have a pick at all. Who do you got your eyes on at 60?
I think at that point, I would look to go. I'm going to guess they would go a best defensive player available.
Yeah.
If it's safety, great. If it's not, you might see them go up along the lines. You referenced it a moment ago. If there's one thing we've heard so many times over the years from Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, what is it? You build your football teams up front. They are big believers in building along the offensive line and the defensive line. Now, I think the defense is going to have some issues this season, folks. I think they're going to take a little bit of a step back. So at 60, I would look at, you don't need a running back. You don't need a tight end. You don't need quarterback. Yes, you can make a case for offensive line, but right now you have your 5 starters. We don't know how it's going to work out, but you have your 5 starters. 4 of those guys have multiple years left on their contract. Brown is the only guy with 1 year left. So I'm not looking at 60 to get a guy who might not play until next year or beyond. To me, you go defense at 60. It's either a safety who you hope can win a job and play right away or get in a rotation, or you get somebody in again along the defensive line because there are still some numbers issues at both edge and defensive tackle.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually segued into that. And before we let you go here real quick, defensive line, Sean McDermott's whole tenure here, it's been a focus on the defensive line. They bring in Von Miller. They draft Greg Rousseau with high draft capital. Defensive tackle is one that I have my eyes on as well. We have Ed Oliver, and people leave throughout the offseason, and now you're short with numbers there. Are there any defensive tackles in this year's draft that you like better than others?
No, I don't have a guy for you, but I mean, I do think if you look at it, look at what's going on up front, guys, with the depth chart. You have Rousseau. Epinesa resigned, so that's good. We don't know what Von Miller is going to look like. Is he the Von Miller from 2 years ago? Is he the Von Miller after the ACL? We have no idea. You mentioned Ed Oliver. And re-signing Daquan Jones, to me, was a really important move for the Bills this offseason. But outside of that, guys, it's one-year guys. It's veteran guys. There's really who are the linchpin guys at defensive line? Ed Oliver and Rousseau. So that's why I think, safety or defensive line is going to be it, because they're going to need to replenish up front. And they rotate defensive linemen. Nobody plays particularly more than like 60-ish% of the snaps. So I do think that would be an area where you could see them really try and grab a guy who can come in and help this season in their rotation.
Thank you, Howard. And guys, do you have any thoughts on that defensive line or receivers before Howard takes off?
No, not really.
I think he covered everything.
Okay, well, Howard, thank you so much for joining us for our draft special tonight. We hope that you enjoy the rest of night one and the rest of the weekend as well, because it's a long couple of days here. And I know from the media side especially, things can get hectic.
Well, you folks are in for a long night. I hope Steve Monaco is bringing in pizza and wings for everybody. And let's go Bengals. Go Buff State.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Howard. Take care. Now, guys, as we segue into rather less of the Bills draft here, the draft is getting started. 8:15. Bears are on the clock, likely to be quarterback Caleb Williams from USC. Guys, what are our thoughts on Caleb Williams?
That guy's he's a beast. I mean, he deserves that number one spot, and I think genuinely
the hype around him is pretty good. So I think he's gonna go, but there's been talk a little bit of some shakeup. I don't know, a little drama in the background. So let's see what's gonna happen. I mean, they've been on the clock a little too long for my liking.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a little bit right before that we got in here that there's lingering injuries, probably.
Yep, I heard the same thing.
Caleb Williams, but he's just been so talked about all over social media. He's one of the highest touted players in this draft. It would not make any sense for the Bears not to take him, especially with the way that they just shipped Justin Fields over to the Steelers like that. So they're definitely in the need for a quarterback, and Caleb Williams makes the most sense.
Yes.
Hey, what do you think? Yeah, I think Caleb Williams is the consensus first overall pick in today's draft. I don't think it's any much of a secret. I think the Bears want him. He wants the Bears. The kid can absolutely ball, can make any throw, in my opinion, and can get them first downs with his legs. So I think it'll be the smart, safe pick.
Yeah, you take a look at the NFL as kind of the offensive modernized. People want that Patrick Mahomes kind
Player.
of player.
And I would say that Caleb Williams is the closest thing we've seen to Patrick Mahomes since he's been drafted in 2017. Will he fit into this Bears offense? I think so, because this may be the best starting spot for a rookie quarterback ever, let alone pick number one. They bring in DJ Moore. They bring in Keenan Allen. And what do you guys think? DeAndre Swift comes in on a 3-year deal. What do you guys think about this offense?
I think that the offense is being well put together for the building of basically what the Texans are doing, because you had CJ Stroud come in, Ohio State rookie freshman, and he's basically doing everything that you would expect from a 5th-year, 6th-year kind of quarterback. And now it's like going forward, teams have to find that quarterback coming out of the draft if they really do want to get in the if they want to get into the playoffs. So that's something that they have to look forward to. And looking into Caleb Williams, he's one of those guys that are definitely resemblance of the CJ Stroud era going forward, where quarterbacks come into the NFL ready to play.
Yeah, what do you think about all of it?
I mean, they just put the words straight out my mouth. I think it's just like CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud is an example of that. I've been looking into other teams, and I don't see anybody really doing this the same way. It's like there's a good comparison there. And I think they have that ability to build up, and they can move forward in the next few years. Do I think they're going to be Super Bowl quality in the next year? No. When you draft a rookie quarterback like that, he has to get used to it. The NFL is
number one for a reason.
Yeah, you're picking number one for a reason, but I don't know. I don't tend to have that much faith in those quarterbacks, but I think it's going to be a cool thing to watch in the next few years, watch him build up.
I said, think about Caleb Williams, rookie year. What kind of stats do you think? How many touchdowns are we thinking for Caleb Williams?
I mean, touchdowns, I think he might break some records.
Woo!
Or you have Cole Kmet, who I think is a serviceable tight end.
Sure.
DeAndre Swift, who is functional in the backfield, catching the ball as well. You have the 9th overall pick. You can go receiver. You can beefing up the offensive line. There's a lot of routes that Chicago can go. I feel like they have the leverage in this draft. I expect great things from Caleb.
Now, Isaiah, we're going to take a second here because the Bears pick is officially in. So not much speculation here. Pat McAfee's chatting it up with the guys right here. These guys got Bill Belichick live, which is pretty unique.
crazy.
Yeah, it is.
I believe
How
this
much
is
do you
like
think
the
they
5th
paid
year. This is like the 5th year that they did with Bill, yeah. So this is something that I've always looked into with Pat McAfee.
It's a very unique side of media broadcast. Now, as we wait for Commissioner Rogers to be able to take
and announce Caleb Williams. I want to touch back on pick number 9. Pick number 9. If you're Bears GM, what are you doing? Ryan Poles.
If I'm at 9, I'm trading back.
Okay.
I'm trading back.
You're right. They've only got 4 picks this draft.
Yeah, I'm trading back to. If I was to pick a team, I'd probably be calling the Bengals phone right now.
Yeah.
The Bengals. There's a lot of ways the Bengals can go. You can go secondary. You can go defensive line. You can go tight end. Brock Bowers.
There's a lot of star power up top. It really is.
Yeah, but if I was Chicago, I would trade back I would trade with the Bengals for T. Higgins. I think that's what the Bears should do.
As Caleb Williams goes off.
Caleb Williams, as we all expected.
Selected by the board.
Comes in against who was it? I forget who they played, but he lit it up. He goes for an insane amount of yards, and that was just the start of his career. Caleb Williams taking the stadium right now. Yeah, but I agree with you. It's a top heavy draft, and then you've got guys like T. Higgins, you've got guys like Brandon Ayuk who could potentially be moved. Guys, what people do we think could be moved during this first round? Big names.
Oh, that's a question that's very hard to answer because I thought that AJ Brown would potentially that the Eagles were signing players left and right, handing out money. How could you just have enough money to still sign your number one target after paying a brand new running back, offensive line, and your secondary receiver? So the fact that they were able to get that done, that's like the only real person that I thought would have got moved off that team, but that didn't happen at all. So I have no really trade like expectations as of right now.
I've been looking at those Steelers. That and I talked about that on Monday's show. I just think it's so interesting how those 2 QBs went. Russell Wilson of all people, which I think it's about coming up to that time where I need to see that retirement. And I used to be a big Russell Wilson fan. Now not so much. I don't know. Something about him's not working for me. But I was not expecting that move to the Steelers, and then having Justin Fields go as well. That was crazy.
That's a crazy.
That was yeah.
So to talk a little bit more about that Justin Fields and Russell Wilson situation, how do you think it's going to fare in the summer? Because everyone's been saying like they're going to go in camp as any 2 quarterbacks would. But with the fact that Russell Wilson is such further in his career, I think that he automatically should have that starting spot. That's it. How do you sit Russell Wilson and then you start Justin Fields, who everybody has been very down on with the way that he's been producing for the franchise called the Chicago Bears?
I think when you think about it, you gotta look and line them up. Russell Wilson has all that experience. He's been to the Super Bowl. He knows what he's doing. But where was that last year? You're gonna look at that performance with the Broncos. He was sat for a couple games, and they sat him and they said, "You're gonna sit."
That's in a Sean Payton offense too. It's very hard to struggle in a Sean Payton offense.
That's exactly. So you gotta look at it like that. I mean, Justin Fields might get that leverage over him, but they're gonna fight, and it's gonna, may the best quarterback win at that point. But you gotta really look at it and look at both of their things. And Justin Fields is young; he can be molded. Russell Wilson, he's already molded. So
decline now. Isaiah, you mentioned T. Higgins. What makes you think T. Higgins could get moved?
He's been requesting a trade out of Cincinnati for quite some time now. I feel like if I'm Chicago, I would take a more polished, a more experienced wide receiver, considering the fact that you have Caleb Williams, who everyone is saying is the next Patrick Mahomes. I mean, why not build him around some proven talent already? T. Higgins is a number 2 receiver in Cincinnati, but he's a number 1 receiver in my book. I feel like he puts up the numbers that a number 1 does put up. So,
now you're saying in this scenario, T. Higgins would land in Chicago in return for the pick of Cincinnati?
Return for the 9th pick, yes.
Wow, that is a receiving core that may be generational. DJ Ford, Keenan Allen, T. Higgins.
He says that the fantasy drafts are going to look crazy.
Yeah, wow, that's an incredible offense. DeAndre Swift there as well. Now we're approaching pick number 2. The Commanders are on the clock over there in Washington. GM Adam Peters. Who's the pick, guys? Who are we thinking?
I've seen a lot. Like I did a lot of research earlier today. I mean,
Jaden Daniels leading with 22 touchdowns and a 66.7 completion rate on throws of 20 air yards or more.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he's going, but that JJ McCarthy got popular these last 2 weeks. I don't really understand why. Personally, I know that championship ring looks mighty nice, but I'm leaning more toward Jaden Daniels, but I could see something moving there, a little shake there for the JJ McCarthy. but maybe even a Drake May. I don't know. But the Giants might be a little upset about that, knowing, what I know about the Giants today. But yeah.
What do you guys think? Jaden Daniels, Drake May?
I think Jaden Daniels, they're another team that needs quarterback. Sorry if I took your spot when you were about to start talking. I saw that. But yeah, I definitely do agree with Jaden Daniels being a second pick. He could have been a first pick, in my opinion. I don't think J.J. McCarthy is a top 3 or even a top 5 quarterback in this draft. So Jaden Daniels would be the number 2 in my option.
Yeah. You have some passer rating. Can't forget about that.
He can throw the ball. That's one thing you can't say about Jaden Daniels. So I feel like yes, he can get his durability is a question. Yes. Is he a little slim? But I think me personally, I feel like if he was a little bulkier, he would be going number 1 in today's draft. In my opinion.
Caleb.
Over Caleb, yes, I think so.
I think especially with that those injury rumors. I mean, it was already a problem.
Yeah.
It was
Something that was talked about behind the scenes. And when you think of it from a PR standpoint, do you want to draft number 1 with injuries? Is he going to start? I wouldn't want to be in that GM
Injuries
shoes.
are always scary during the draft. You got guys like Latu, the edge rusher out of UCLA, who may fall. Even though he's one of the more talented pass rushers.
In the draft. Now, going back to Jaden Daniels, this is a guy who spent a long time in college, started at Arizona State. Guys, he faced off against Justin Herbert, who was drafted in 2020. Is that a concern that it took 5 years for him to reach his peak to you guys?
I say yes. I say yes and no.
Yeah.
I feel like in today's day and age, a lot of NFL owners like their quarterbacks to get drafted, and some of them they give them all the road. And I feel like an older quarterback, a quarterback who's played in 2 different systems, had shown success in more recently in LSU than he did in Arizona.
Sure.
Yes, he did have he has 2 other first round wide receivers on his roster, but I think Jaden Daniels is the right pick here. I feel like yes, his durability is a question, but can he last 16 plus games in the season? I think he can with the way the rules are changing, especially. So I think he's the pick here.
Already 23 years old, guys. What do you think about Jaden Daniels and taking 5 years to reach his peak?
I'm agreeing with you, Isaiah. I think when it's your time, it's your time. I
don't think judging him for how long it took him is a little fair, just because mentally you don't realize what's there happening with these players. You don't know what's what is affecting him. I think the pick is in currently. Yep. There we go.
Jaden Daniels. Clap it up for Jaden Daniels. Heisman winner from LSU goes number 2 to the Commanders, who will now team up with Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and all the other folks in Washington.
Let's think about how it's going to be with Austin Ekeler now. He has a new quarterback, new offense, new team, new everything. I feel like this is going to be an opportunity for Austin Ekeler to break out like he did previously with the Chargers. Because Jaden Daniels is going to be able to senior, and he's going to be able to open the game more than they were able to when they had, I believe it was. I'm drawing right now. So that's because he wasn't really that mobile. So the fact that you have Jaden Daniels who's going to be able to get out and stretch more, they have to focus on him. So I think this gives Austin Ekeler a great opportunity to boost up that running back market more.
Think about it. Running backs who can catch the ball, who are signed in free agency. Bears, DeAndre Swift. Commanders, Austin Ekeler. Patriots, Antonio Gibson. These are easy completions that are baked into the offense for young quarterbacks. Now, this Washington offense, where do we think this ranks up against the rest of the NFL with Cliff Kingsbury now coming in as offensive coordinator?
I'm going to talk a little bit on just that division
I
itself.
knew you were gonna have it. I knew it.
Because
I knew it. I was ready. I looked straight at you.
I'm going to talk about just that division itself because I feel like the Giants are very lackluster team every single year. I feel like the Cowboys are always upsetting, so that means that the Commanders have a great opportunity to become the second team in that division behind the Eagles if they can put it together, because we've seen them have great offensive seasons just off of quarterback passing alone. So now with the fact that they have a great quarterback and they have a new running back that's able to open up both sides of the game, I feel like the Commanders are going to be able to come out and show a different side of football that we haven't seen from them in a few years.
Now it's official. Jaden Daniels of the Commanders. Do we think this is true that Taylor Horton finally pops off?
Possibly.
I think without a doubt. I mean, you added another offensive weapon that defenses are going to have to prepare for in Austin Ekeler. Although he did have an off season, we're talking about someone who just 2 years ago was leading the league in fantasy, producing in PPR. I mean, the kid can ball, even though he's on the shorter end of age. Yes, but I think would the Commanders be a top offense in their division? No, I don't think they'll be top 2. I have them 3, just above the Giants. I don't think the Cowboys or the Eagles dip in terms of offensive production, but it's a good route towards success for the Washington Commanders, definitely.
Yeah, it's a quarterback-driven league, and now you get 2 teams who start off with young quarterbacks
ready to take a leap into the NFL. And actually now, as we talk about it, the Patriots are on the clock at number 3. Some speculation the pick could be traded. However, I am tending to believe that they're going to make the pick at 3. I think it'll be Drake May, rather. What do you guys think? JJ.
I think Bo Nix goes here.
You think so?
Bo Nix. Oh, my Lord.
Because the Patriots are just that team that would do the unthinkable,
Okay.
and they really need the unthinkable at this time. They haven't really been able to do much since Tom Brady. And they have to pick up Ezekiel Elliott. Everyone was hoping he would have a revitalized career over there in New England. So just go ahead and pick up Bo Nix, and hopefully you guys can start up the spurt over there. That's what I hope they do.
That he's commenting right now, but I don't know. I think they need a QB in my eyes, and I think JJ McCarthy is moldable. I think the Chargers will have a panic attack if he's selected at this level. Am I fully convinced? Am I 100% currently? No. But I think it could go Drake May a little bit, but it's not a guarantee. I see the Giants trying to move up, but I don't think they're going to move up here. I think the Patriots are going to keep this, draft the quarterback. I can't predict right.
Now, the Patriots.
Oh, I thought that was a pick.
Young quarterback from Michigan. Where have we seen this before? Maybe it happens. Maybe it's Drake May from UNC.
Yeah.
We don't know. The Patriots need a lot of help, to be quite honest with you. They have
You
the
got that
picks
right.
After the quarterback, assuming that this will be a quarterback, where would you guys like to see the Patriots go with their next?
Yeah.
Definitely offense, wide receiver, preferably. I feel like you're going to have a quarterback, but who is he going to throw to?
I would just love to see the Patriots not whatever. That's just personally me. I'm tired of a Patriots dynasty, and I'm glad Bill Belichick left. Glad Tom Brady left. I'm glad they're having what they're having right now. But I agree with Isaiah. I think it's an offense. I think they need to rebuild. I think they need a newer team. So that's why I'm more inclined with a QB first and then something on the O-line, maybe a little something there.
Sean, I feel like you got to go with wide receiver if you're going to take a quarterback very early. So we're just going to have to listen to this pick real quick to see if they take a quarterback.
Drake May. I told y'all.
Drake May is the selection.
There we go, Drake May.
Or the New England Patriots. A new quarterback in the AFC East that will be taking off. That's Josh Allen. So rate this pick on a 10. What do you like, Drake May?
I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7. He wasn't bad. I definitely do think he was a top 5 quarterback. I put him over JJ McCarthy as well. So
available in your opinion?
yeah, I would say so. And unless they would have took Bo Nix.
I give it an 8.5. 8.5 out of 10. I mean, Drake May is someone with raw talent, a tremendous arm, tremendous size. Balled out for his pro day out in UNC.
Yep.
I have him compared to Justin Herbert-ish, Josh Allen-ish. But yeah, the Patriots have proven that they can develop raw talent, and Drake May is definitely a raw talent. So I like the pick by New England. I think quarterback was the decision here.
Drake May off the board at number 3. We are now at pick number 4.
He's now at number 4, potentially the first non-quarterback in the draft. Arizona Cardinals will be selecting within the next few minutes. However, we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, there will be a new crew to talk about the NFL draft with you. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
You wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
How's your serve coming? I think we'll work on it this weekend.
Amy's slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. If you do...
Nobody's supposed to when he's here.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
It's all
Hi, Lauren. My name is Katie. We're going to take care of you, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I don't have my phone with me.
He's on my 845.
You wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
And how's your serve coming along?
Not so good.
I think we should work on it this weekend.
Mom, Amy's birthday bash slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we
Oh,
made.
Let's be going
There's
with
my out.
Good luck, y'all. Have fun. All right. What y'all think going? What y'all think going? Ready to go?
Are we ready to go?
Okay, so last one we last left off, the Patriots just selected Drake May, quarterback out of North Carolina. I want to get your guys' thoughts out of this. Thomas, what do you think about the pick?
I really like the pick for the New England Patriots, man. I can't believe that Jaden Daniels goes to there. I really think he resembles a lot of RG3's values. I mean, he's one of those guys that's more so like basically just the durability factor is a little scary for most teams. Why a lot of people didn't really like that pick. Especially myself, I really like Drake May as a passer. He reminds me a lot of Justin Herbert coming out of the draft. He was the third-ranked quarterback in that class, too. We see how good he's been for the Chargers. I really like the move for New England, and it's sad to say that considering they're in our division.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that the Commanders taking Jaden Daniels over Drake May is going to be an all-time fumble. They're going to look back.
What a mistake they made. I think Jaden Daniels he reminds me a lot of Justin Fields as he's an electric runner. He can make plays out of the pocket. He's got a great deep ball, but he struggles with reading the pocket. His pocket presence is terrible. He always looks to run. He never whenever the pressure breaks down, and behind Washington's terrible offensive line, that's going to happen a lot. When the pocket breaks down, he always looks to run. He never looks to pass. If you look at these elite quarterbacks like Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, the pocket breaks down. They're looking to pass first, and then they run. And that's the difference. He looks to run first, then pass, and it's a lot of what Justin Fields did. So he struggled, especially after his first read. If his first read was there, he was making the throw. But then Drake May, I think, he reminds me a lot of Justin Herbert. He didn't put up the greatest numbers this past year because North Carolina was just absolutely terrible. Like, the team around him was not good. I think once he's in an NFL position where he's going to have an offensive line and legit talent at wide receiver, I think he's going to be able to make a lot of plays. All right, joining us shortly is going to be Sal Capaccio from WGR 550.
First, we have our first pick of our segment.
Do you guys have your volume on?
So we have Sal Capaccio here in studio. First, Sal, how are you doing?
Pretty good. I'm actually not in studio. I'm here at One Bills Drive. I'm, but right behind me at the stadium, and got the media room right around me here. That's where everything's happening here with the media tonight. Hey guys.
So, Sal, we're a few picks in here already in the 2024 NFL draft, but we kind of want to stay a little bit Bills-centric here. The Bills have picked 28. Obviously, one of the big needs here is wide receiver. Who are some of the top, 3 or 5 wide receivers on your big board?
Well, I think the same as pretty much everybody, right? I mean, Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze. I think Rome is going to be terrific. It would be a great fit. I just don't know if the Bills could, go up and get him that high. That'd really take a monster move to be able to do that. Brian Thomas Jr. I have the Bills in my mock, taking Xavier Worthy if those guys are gone and they stay at 28. I didn't do any trades, but I do think it's possible they trade. But Xavier Worthy, I'm a big Ladd McConkey fan. I like Xavier Legette a lot. I just don't know if those guys are worth, 28. But I do like all those guys. I think they all offer something.
I mean, Sal, you get to regularly speak with Brandon Beane, and you know him pretty well. So from your insight, what's the possibility that the Bills may be able to trade up in this draft for a high-end wide receiver?
Well, it's always possible with Brandon Beane. It's always every pick is available at the right price. Every pick. The question is, what is that price? Are you willing to pay it? But Brandon Beane has traded up 4 out of the 6 drafts that he's been in charge of at the Buffalo Bills. So I would never put it past Brandon Beane to trade up. The question is, how high would he want to go? What would he want to give up? If you're going to go up really high to try and get Rome Odunze, you're probably talking about multiple picks this year and your first rounder next year. That's a really tough price to pay. If you want to get into the late teens, early 20s for Brian Thomas Jr., you're probably looking at, a couple picks this year and maybe one of those second rounders next year that the Bills own. So yeah, of course, it's Brandon Beane. You always have to anticipate him possibly moving up.
Once again, we all think that wide receiver is the pick here for the Buffalo Bills. So while we have you here, what does day 2 and day 3 look like for the Buffalo Bills draft-wise, going forward?
Yeah, I think that they have to still, take a look at the D-line. It's an area where that they have to replenish a little bit. They don't really know exactly what you're going to get from Von Miller next year. I think they're hoping, obviously, that he returns the form from a couple of years ago before his ACL. But, that's a spot where they rotate a lot. They like Greg Rousseau, A.J. Epinesa. They need more of a maybe, high-end pass rush there if they can, besides Von Miller, to be able to do that. And then interior defensive line as well. I mean, they rotate so much. These guys, they need more help there. And then I think they have to, concentrate on safety a little bit later in the draft as well. They lost Jordan Poyer and probably Micah Hyde. No decision there. It looks like that's the case. And, right now it's besides Taylor Rapp and Mike Edwards behind them, it's Cam Lewis, who's a nice third safety. But, that I think you want to go into the season with a little bit more than that, and DeMar Hamlin behind those guys.
Yeah. If wide receiver doesn't fall the way that you would like, would you be okay with taking a defender in the first round? I know I've seen a lot of mocks recently. The Bills are taking defenders like Cooper DeJean, Chop Robinson, Johnny Newton. Are there any defenders you like to be able to take in the first round?
I wouldn't like it if they took a guy like Johnny Newman. I don't think it's worth it for a guy who's going to probably be a very, low rotational piece at first, at least, next to Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones. I mean, I don't know how many snaps you have there for a guy like that. You're going to take him. Whoever gets picked at 28 has to play more than that. He's a nice player, but doesn't seem like that's the fit. And he's more like a Ed Oliver type to me, the way he plays. Cooper DeJean is different, though. I wrestle with this. I just don't think they need a defensive back. They don't need a cornerback. He does play corner, but he probably plays safety in Buffalo. I just don't know if a safety can go right into a Sean McDermott defense as a rookie and be able to play, because it takes a lot in this defense. They don't usually play young guys at that position. But holy cow, I love the kid. I think he's great. I think he's just like Micah. I think he's just like Jordan, that kind of player. Can move him around. He's a chess piece. And how do you not fall in love with Chop Robinson's, athleticism and the traits that just jump off the page? So, they were to go a place like that. I mean, look, I don't have the information Brandon Beane has. I can just kind of watch these guys and tell you how good of a football player I think they are. I don't have the medicals. I don't sit down and talk with them. All of those things matter so much, and fans don't think about that stuff. But those things matter even more so sometimes than actually what you see on film.
And Sal, we know you're on a tight schedule tonight, but just got one more question. What has been the energy at One Bills Drive, not only throughout the week, but just the past month leading up to the draft, which is going on right now?
Well, we've only been down here a couple of times, to talk to Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott because the team's in the off season. But I have been at the owners' meetings. I've been at the combine. I've spoken with Sean. I've spoken with Brandon. And I think the energy has been great. I mean, they feel renewed and enthusiastic about the season. They know they're making changes. I think they feel very somber about losing the players they lost, but energetic about new opportunities for younger players. They got rid of a lot of guys, a little bit older, maybe veterans, captains. They don't love doing that, but they know this is a kind of a new iteration of the Bills. It's a new era for the Bills a little bit to kind of turn the page. And I think they're also excited about some of the new coaches. The coaching staff got a little bit younger, and Joe Brady and Jamil Adai on the defensive side at corners, especially Bobby Babich, the defensive coordinator. I think they feel really energetic with that as well.
All right, Sal, I just want to say thank you for joining us here again on short notice. You have a busy night going on ahead of you, and just want to say thank you once again for joining us here.
You guys got it. Thank you.
All right, take care. Once again, that was WGR Sports Radio 550 Buffalo Bills beat reporter Sal Capaccio joining us here on Buffalo Sports Insiders draft coverage right here from the campus of Buffalo State University. And I'm going to kick it back over to Alex Miley, and he's going to take over the hosting here.
All right, so prior to
Sale joining us, the Cardinals took Marvin Harrison Jr. with the 4th pick. I just want to get your guys' thoughts. Sebastian, what is your thoughts on the pick?
I thought it was a great pick. If the Cardinals honestly didn't leave with an elite receiver, then what would have been the right move for them? And then I honestly think with them having a later pick in the draft, they should honestly double up. And with Marvin Harrison, I think they should just keep doing the right thing. Just go for that second receiver.
I agree. Marvin Harrison was one of those can't-miss prospects. He's on the board to take him. He's the most NFL-ready receiver in the draft. He has everything and anything that you need in a prospect. He has size, elite hands, body control, anything you need. And Kyler Murray is going to have real fun this season with his brand new toy.
Thomas, what do you think about the pick?
I really like Marvin Harrison a lot. He's probably the best receiver in this class, hands down. I really like Malik Neighbors as well. There's a couple other guys on this in this draft that I really like as well, but I think Marvin Harrison's been the number one for so long. He didn't test for a reason. This man is super confident about his athletic abilities. His father really pushed him from a young age to get there. And now working with Arizona, he'll be the number one option, of course, in that offense. I think Kyler Murray and Trey McBride had a really good connection at the end of last year. Marvin Harrison adds an extra piece to that, and I really think that offense can take another step.
Yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr., positional value away, I think was the best
player in this draft, talent-wise. I think he's the best wide receiver prospect in the second round. We saw how that turned out. He can just do everything at elite level. He's like he was made in a lab. He's 6'4". He's got great speed, great athleticism. He's a great route runner. He's a great deep threat, can catch a jump ball. He's great in the red zone. There's just nothing he can't do. And now you give him a quarterback like Kyler Murray, who I think has been a little underrated recently due to the fact that he just hasn't played much. And his last time he was playing, he had Cliff Kingsbury and a terrible team around him. So I just think now that you have Marv, I think that can be an elite 1-2 connection with Trey McBride for years to come. All right, so the pick is in for the Chargers. We'll see who they take shortly. What are your guys' quick predictions for the Chargers?
Honestly, I think the Chargers should really take an offensive lineman or receiver. I think honestly, Malik Neighbors wouldn't be a
bad pickup, especially with last year's pick, who didn't go the way that they wanted it to. With the Chargers picking up Quentin Johnson, was just very inconsistent all last season. With the addition of Gus Edwards, I feel like gaining an offensive lineman would definitely be a good pickup for them as well.
I agree. I think you have to put positional value up ahead right now, and they need to protect their asset in Justin Herbert with O-line. Although Neighbors does seem like a great pick, you kind of can't go wrong here, especially since they lost basically their whole wide receiver room with Keenan Allen gone and the other receiver gone. So it's kind of a pick or choose kind of thing, but I agree they should go online.
I also agree with that opinion. I really think that if you look at the guy they got in that room right now, Jim Harbaugh, I think that's exactly what he's going to do all season is run the ball down their throats. And realistically, that's what's going to happen a lot of the time. So I love the move of an offensive lineman.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers went offense here and they went receivers. Maybe we say Malik Neighbors. Maybe he goes earlier.
So the pick is in. The Chargers just took Joe Alt, tackle out of Notre Dame.
Sorry for cutting you off there, Evan. I'll kick it to you first then. What are your thoughts on the pick?
Yeah, I guess we'll start with me here. And the Chargers picking a lineman, you got Justin Herbert. In my opinion, he's a top 5 quarterback in this league, and drafting an offensive lineman within the top, 10 picks is never a bad option. Getting a guy to protect your guy is a good move here by the Chargers.
Love that pick for them, man. As I was really saying, Jim Harbaugh, he loves that offensive line. He loves that D-line. I knew
that this is just the offense he wants to build there, and it all starts up front. Joe Alt's an amazing guy. His father drafted in 1984 by the Kansas City Chiefs, a rival of the Chargers. Very, very good player as well. Joe Alt's learning from one of the best, just like Marvin Harrison Jr., and I really like the pick here.
I agree. Joe Alt is, again, an NFL-ready prospect, probably the most NFL-ready tackle right now, as well as, being a Notre Dame alumni. We already know how, they are in the trenches. You cannot go wrong with a pick from Notre Dame if they play in the trenches. So I think this is great for them.
All right, so we got a question on screen. It looks like people have been asking
Evan for a while. He wanted to get his thoughts. Josh is asking, Evan, who do you think the Bills will be picking?
Yeah, so thanks for the question, Josh. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to be picking Brian Thomas, the wide receiver. I think you got to go big or go home here, taking a wide receiver in the first round. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to have to trade up to get a guy like Brian Thomas because he is that good. But when you are trading up for a guy like that, you're going to get your guy. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to end up taking Brian Thomas somewhere in the mid to late, teens of the draft, maybe like 18 or 19. I think they're going to trade up.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree, but I'll kick it back to Sebastian for his thoughts on the Chargers pick.
Yeah, I thought it was a great pickup, especially having a trench man come in to help protect Justin Herbert,
as well as help protecting Gus Edwards. I thought overall was a great pick and just great technique and just overall just a foundation and great program player as well.
Yeah, I personally, I think it's a great pick also.
Personally, I think they should have traded back, try to see if they could trade with Minnesota to get 11 and 23. I think this is a very deep class for receiver and tackle. Their two biggest needs. I think they could have gotten a lot of value at 11 and 23, and then fill in more holes because they have like a couple of stars, but they have a lot of holes. The roster is very depleted, so they need to build that up. But since they stayed, I think Alt is a great pick. I think now with him and Rashawn Slater, I think they have the best tackle room in the league. And for a franchise quarterback, that is very, very important to be able to keep him protected. You already have your blind side with Slater, who's already been an all-pro prior to getting injured. And now you bring Alt to the right side. I think that is just going to help her. It's just great for him. Now, obviously, they need to shift to receiver. I think in the second round, you see them go with Roman Wilson from Michigan, obviously the Harbaugh connection. But they could also go with someone else that falls, maybe an Xavier Legette, maybe a Lad McConkey, maybe a Troy Franklin, but Ricky Pearsall. They have many options there at 37, but staying here at 5, I think this is the best option for them just based on the way with how deep the receiver class is. I think going tackle here makes sense. All right, the pick is in for the Giants now, so I'm gonna ask Thomas, what are your predictions for the Giants pick?
I think it's one of the receivers. It's either Romo Dunze or Malik Neighbors. I'm not sure which one they like more. Obviously, I'm not like an analyst or anything, so I have no idea which one they like better. But one of those two guys, I can't imagine anything else, a different scenario playing out here. I mean, I could have seen an offensive lineman maybe if Alt's on the board, but the other ones are nowhere near as good as Alt, I think. And with that being said, they really need a receiver to help out Jalen Hyatt in that room. Even Wan'Dale Robinson, you can throw in the mix there with Waller. I think they're a receiver away from having at least a pretty good offense there for Daniel Jones to throw the ball to.
I have a hot take here, bold prediction. We saw them a couple of years ago. Take Daniel Jones, 6th overall. Would it be crazy to say draft another quarterback?
Bo Nix, baby.
Not this early. Not this early. There is not enough value. Taking J.J. McCarthy at 6. If they want to trade back into the end of the first, maybe to get a quarterback to battle with Daniel Jones, but taking McCarthy at 6, I think, with Neighbors and Odunze on the board, would just be absolutely laughable by the Giants.
Look,
J.J. McCarthy, I can see it.
I could see it, but I think it's awful decision.
I don't think it's a bad move.
All right, so your selection is up right now.
And the New York Giants, they select Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver out of LSU. I think that is an absolutely amazing pick. I think they probably have the worst receiving core in the league. Maybe one of the Jalen Hyatt, an old injured Darren Waller, Isaiah Hodgins, Wan'Dale Robinson. That is not good at all. I think now that you add someone like Malik Neighbors, I think that could maybe help Daniel Jones out. Maybe he can have a bounce back year. Maybe they draft a quarterback this year. Like they could go trade back up for a J.J. McCarthy or draft a Penix or a Nix. And I think just getting a receiver like him who is I think he would have been the number one receiver taken each of the last couple of drafts since 2022. I think he would have gone first in 22 when it went first last year. The only reason he didn't go first this year is because of how elite Marvin Harrison was. So I think that was an absolute great pick by the Giants. But I'm going to turn it over to Thomas here.
I have a very intriguing question for you, gentlemen. After this pick, a lot of people know the other teams don't really need a quarterback. If you look at the Chicago Bears, they have number 9. They've been trying to trade out of that pick. It's been rumored for a while now. Do you potentially see a team moving up into that top 10 to draft J.J. McCarthy potentially here? Or do you think the Vikings snag him at 12?
Realistically,
11.
The only team I could see is maybe Denver trying to jump Minnesota. I could see that, obviously, them sitting at 12 in Denver. And maybe
that's an
I
interesting
guess
one.
11, 12, 13, really any of those spots I could see it. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I think they're just going to sit. I think the Broncos, they really like Nix. He's got a lot of comparisons to Drew Brees.
And obviously the Broncos coach is Sean Payton, who won a Super Bowl with Drew Brees and coached many elite years under him. So I think that system favors a guy like Bo Nix. And then I've seen the Raiders link to Penix a lot. So I think J.J. McCarthy is going to go to Minnesota at 11. I think he fits that scheme really well. So, yeah, I don't really see it. I mean, I wouldn't be, shocked, but I doubt it's going to happen.
Yeah, because when you're taking a look at the rest of the draft board, obviously that sits there pretty comfortably is the New York Jets. And if this was a couple years ago, before they signed Aaron Rodgers to the big contract that they did, then maybe we're having a discussion where they are going to draft a guy like J.J. McCarthy. But the Jets are going to look to go all in this year with Aaron Rodgers back and fully healthy. So, again, I do agree with you there, Alex. I do think that J.J. McCarthy will land in the purple with Minnesota.
Yeah, I definitely got to agree. I definitely think that J.J. McCarthy is also going to land with Minnesota as well. And possibly, I don't think Penix is going to go farther than J.J. McCarthy this drive, honestly.
Yeah, the Vikings need a QB. That's just simple as that. And a lot of people, McCarthy is probably the fourth QB off the board. So if he's there at their pick, I think they're going JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I think J.J. McCarthy reminds me a lot of Kirk Cousins, who obviously
they just had as a quarterback. I think he would work really well with a Kevin O'Connell scheme, which is a very Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan-esque, which relies on a lot of running and play action and hitting throws over the middle, which is what J.J. McCarthy in his limited time at Michigan throwing the ball showed he can do at a great level. And obviously with receivers like Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and tight end like TJ Hawkinson, I think he could excel there. I'm not saying he's going to be like this bona fide superstar that carries them to a Super Bowl or anything, but I think he could put up some good numbers in that offense. But the Titans look like they're only got 4 minutes left on the clock, so they should be up soon. What are your guys' predictions for that pick?
Titans, I feel like they need a tackle. I feel like
tackle will be their biggest need right now. If it's not a tackle, they need a defensive edge right now. So if they don't pick up one of those two, then I don't really know who they would really pick up right now.
I'm going to second that thought. I just feel like they have to go somewhere on the offensive line here. Peter
Skoronski moved to left guard. Left tackle would have been a dream scenario with Joe Alt. I really like Fasciano. I think Latham can play left tackle, although I'd stick with him at right. I would not really want to risk that, especially this high in the draft at number 7. But I really think that somewhere along the offensive line is the direction that the Titans should go. Yeah, I think JC Fatham is going to get drafted here by the Titans. Even though he is a right tackle in many people's eyes, I still think he has the ability to swing over and play left tackle. And obviously seeing Alt was taken off the board early, and a lot of people had Latham as the first tackle off the board, but I think Latham does go here to the Titans.
Again, it's all about protecting your assets. They got a young QB in Will Levis. Most important person on the roster, you got to protect him, so I think they go on.
All right, so we got a question from someone in the comments. It's for Zay. How do you feel about Malik Neighbors being drafted to the Giants?
I mean, as the resident Giants fan here, that was a pick that I wanted. In a perfect world, there would have been Marvin, but I already knew he wasn't going to drop that far. So we haven't had a number 1 since Odell, and I feel like he can really fill that void, help everybody that's in that room, and give Daniel a chance to stay.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think he's going to be an absolute beast there. I think he could be Odell
with how electric he is. But I sitting at 7 with the Titans, yeah, I think they go tackle. But don't be surprised if they take Rome Odunze. They've shown that they want to invest a lot in Will Levis, and with Treylon Burks not really showing much, D-Hop being a free agent after this year and being old, Calvin Ridley being good but not elite, I would not be surprised if they took Odunze here to bolster that receiving core to give Will Levis another weapon to throw to. But I think the right decision here would be tackle. I think you either maybe Latham, but Latham seems more like a guard, and they just drafted that Skoronski last year. I could see more of a Talise Fuaga or Olu Fashanu, I think makes more sense here. Get that anchor down left tackle, protect Will Levis's blind side for years to come. Other positions, yeah, as Sebastian mentioned, they could go edge, but I really don't see it. I think they've shown this offseason that they really want to give Will Levis as many weapons, as much protection as they can, so they can see what they really have out of Will Levis. Do you guys think there's any chance they go defense here?
I really think you got to stick with the offensive line, man. I really like that you mentioned Olu Fashanu. I think he's one of the best guys out of Penn State. Of course, we have a little thing going with Emma from the radio station about Penn State players not getting drafted. So hopefully not. But at the same time, man, I think Fashanu's a great guy at left tackle. I think he could be the guy here. And so I can't see them going any other direction. You really want to see what you get in a quarterback at a young age so you can know if that's the guy you're going to build around for the future or not. And I think it's just a no-brainer move for the Titans.
I mean, Alex, you talked about, getting that extra wide receiver on already some of the nice players that they have in the pass catching room for Will Levis. If you got a guy like Romo Odunze, you're really going all in with Will Levis, and you're really rolling the dice here and banking that Will Levis can be your franchise guy. I mean, you would have another former first-round pick in Treylon Burks. You would have the investment that you gave into Calvin Ridley. DeAndre Hopkins, just a couple of years ago, he was a bona fide top 5 guy. And then bringing Odunze in, I think that would really solidify the Titans' pass-catching core for a guy like Will Levis.
What do you guys think? Do you think Will Levis is a bona fide starter?
Or do you think he's going to bust out? Because personally, I think what he showed last year with the way they're building things out in Tennessee, I really think he could be a pretty good quarterback. He showed very, very good flashes, which is what you want to see out of a rookie in an awful situation that he was in last year. So I really do expect him to have a pretty good year. I don't know if he'll ever be like a top 5, top 10, but I think he could be an above average quarterback. But again, that just with the AFC, with how loaded it is, I don't know if that'll be enough, but I think he can still be pretty good.
I agree with that, man. I really, sorry to say, but I really think that he can be an amazing quarterback if he's given the right pieces. So I feel like it's going to have to come down to this offensive line, man. He got bruised and battered too many times last year. That ankle injury really showed it. And if he can stay healthy for a full season, I like what they have in Levis.
Yeah, I kind of think it's a little bit too early to tell. Although, we've seen the flashes. A lot of times it's not enough to go off of. There's been other QBs in history where we've seen flashes and it wasn't anything sustained.
Hate to interrupt you, Zay, but the Titans pick is in, and they did just take J.C.
Latham out, offensive tackle out of Alabama. What are your guys' thoughts on the picks? Personally, as I said, I think they should have went with a different tackle. I don't think he fits what they need as much. But what are your guys' thoughts?
They really needed that right tackle, man. I think that the left side is way more valuable, especially when you have a quarterback like like Will Levis, who is in that development process. You really still need to figure out what's happening with him, and really protecting that blind side is super important. But I don't mind the Latham pick. I still think offensive line was the right selection, and it's still decent.
Yeah, Latham has tree trunk legs, and he can move with long arms, and that's what you want out of a right tackle, and that's what the Titans are going to get here with Latham.
I think he's a dominant run blocker. And if they decide that they want to, slow the offense down sometimes and, get things going and, get Will, kind of like, ease him more into things, I think this works. I do agree. I would have probably solidified the left side a little bit, but JC is not a bad pick at all. And I think you really couldn't go wrong.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with Zay on that one. JC should have been we should have picked up a left tackle, but hey, whatever it takes for Latham to do. Honestly, 6'6", 360 pounds, great run blocker. So if we can use him to our full advantage, let's do it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean,
He is a great run blocker. I just think they needed more of a pass blocker to protect Levis. But I don't think Latham's going to be bad. But So this is coming to the end of this segment. We're going to be cutting to commercial soon, and Evan is going to be hosting us for the next 30 minutes.
You wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
How's your serve coming? I think we'll work on it this weekend.
Amy's slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. If you do...
Hi, Lauren. My name is Katie. We're gonna take care of you, okay? Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Welcome back to Buffalo Sports Insider. My name is Evan Harrington alongside Richie Miller, Isaiah Marquez, and Alex Miley. We are here ready to get into another draft pick as the Falcons pick is in. So Atlanta right here. Who do you guys think that the Atlanta Falcons are going to select here, nearing the 10th pick of the first round with the 8th pick they got?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Dallas Turner. I think
It's between the top. They need edge rusher, and it's between two guys really for me: Dallas Turner and Leitu Latu. I think Leitu Latu might be a little bit of a better player, but I think Dallas Turner's a little safer. And for a team like Atlanta that's looking to win now, I think you go with the safer pick because Latu's injury concerns are a little scary. But it's not like he's that much better than Turner, where it'd just be dumb to take Turner. I think Turner is an absolute beast in Alabama. I think he's an athletic freak. I think he would fit perfectly into their one glaring need is pass rush. I think he would make that a defense that was pretty good last year into an elite force. And then with that offense with Kirk Cousins, I think they could easily win the NFC South.
Yeah, I agree with Alex.
I feel like Dallas Turner or Leitu Latu is the safe pick. Me personally, I would buff up the offense. I feel like Kirk Cousins' window is small, and you have a very powerful offense with Bijan, Algier. You just picked up Mooney and Rondell Moore, who are productive wide receiver threes. I wouldn't be mad if Falcons go pick us in, but I wouldn't be mad if Falcons go Adunze here. I mean, that division is theirs, in my opinion.
I would say Dallas Turner, but I'm desperately trying to beat the clock. It looks like Roger Goodell is about to enter the podium right now.
Yeah, and it does look like the pick will be in just a second. I do think that the Falcons are going to take Terry Arnold, the defensive back, out of Alabama. You already got A.J. Terrell. Might as well get a guy like Terry Arnold to even beef up that defense with the high-powered offense led by Kirk Cousins. So Roger Goodell is going to make his way up to the podium.
That is interesting, yeah.
The Atlanta fans are going wild.
They're hoping that that's definitely going to go defense, I think. Whoa. Who is it?
Michael Penix.
Oh my
Wow.
God. Wow. What a terrible pick. What a shocker. That is an awful pick. With J.J. McCarthy on the board, who I think is better than Penix. Penix's age, he's already, 23, 24 years old, and now he's not even going to start for another 2 or 3 years, and they don't
need him at all. I don't understand that pick one bit. They don't need a quarterback right now. Maybe in a year or two where they take one to sit, but someone who's already 24 years old, by the time he plays, he's going to be 26, 27. And for a team that's win now when they just gave Kirk Cousins that big money, why would you pick someone to sit for 3 years. That just doesn't make any sense with players like Dallas Turner, as you said, Terrion Arnold, Latu Latu, Quinion Mitchell, even Odunze, if they want to go receiver. That is the last position they should have taken, is a quarterback.
And this is what makes the NFL draft so fun and so exciting, is that when you guys all have your positional players that should or should not be selected by the team that has the pick, they just completely go the other way that you were thinking, and they pick a guy like Michael Penix Jr., the quarterback out of Washington. Just an unbelievable change of events here. I mean, Richie, what are your thoughts on the draft pick?
I would just like to point out, during our segment earlier when we were discussing who the Falcons should take, they showed Michael Penix in the green room, and I was like, why are they showing Michael Penix? I did not believe they would actually take him. I think he could end up being a very good quarterback for the Falcons. I've always been a Penix believer. I think it's dumb after the money you just gave Kirk Cousins, but obviously Kirk Cousins is an older quarterback who just came off of an injury.
But you're on a 4-year contract. That's the thing that needs to be stated.
4 years.
He's not on a 2-year contract.
If it was
4-year contract.
So the Bears pick is in, which means the Bills will not be trading up
To pick 9, like I had hoped. I didn't really expect it, but I was dreaming. I was kind of manifesting we trade up for Odunze, but with the Bears pick in at 9, it doesn't appear that way so far, as they are probably going to take him. Hopefully they don't, so maybe the Bills can trade up to a different pick to get him. But we will see, as they will be picking soon. But I am still blown away by that Michael Penix pick.
The last lefty quarterback named Michael to play for Atlanta.
Ooh, that's going to be something that will be talked about. But something else that's going to be talked about is the Chicago Bears. We already saw them with pick 1. They went Caleb Williams, got their quarterback. Wide receiver, edge, O tackle, and D tackle are the 4 needs outside of quarterback, which you already addressed. Who do we think that the Bears are going to pick now that they got their franchise guy?
I think the right pick here would be Odunze, but watch out for Olu Fashanu. Him and Caleb Williams were teammates in high school. Olu Fashanu is a very good offensive tackle who Caleb Williams has deep connections with. And if he has that sway over the organization, I think that will most likely be the pick here.
A few years ago, we saw Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne
team up in Jacksonville
after from teaming up in Clemson. Maybe we see that with the players that you mentioned just right there, Richie. Yes, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. We've seen some high school and college connections translate to the NFL. Maybe we see that again with the Chicago Bears here in their 9th pick. Pick is in. Still waiting here. But just once again, that shocking pick by Atlanta. Michael Penix Jr. It doesn't get much crazier than that. I mean, we can officially say that was the first big shakeup of the 2024 NFL draft. I think everyone here would wholeheartedly agree. But Alex, should we have a question?
Yeah, so we have a comment from Devin. His thoughts on Penix at 8. Yeah, I think awful pick, as I already ranted for about a minute when I first saw. Basically, the only pick that would have been worse if they took a running back, if I'm being honest, any other or tight end. But even then, with Brock Bowers, if they took Bowers and him and Pitts, that would have been crazy. But I really think the only position they could have taken that would have been worse than Penix there would have if they took a running back. That is an instant D grade.
It doesn't matter what they do the rest of the draft. Absolute terrible pick, head scratching move by the Falcons to take. If you're going to sit a quarterback, at least take someone who's a little younger, like JJ McCarthy. So when he plays, he's 24, 25, not 26, 27.
Chicago Bears pick. Roger Goodell is making that selection. We'll see here in just a second.
And there goes Odunze. There goes my dream of him being a Buffalo Bill down the drain. I'm sad now.
The Chicago Bears not only get their franchise quarterback with pick 1, but only 8 picks later at pick 9, they get their star-studded wide receiver for the future in Rome Odunze out of Washington. What are your guys' thoughts on the selection by the Bears at 9?
I don't think they necessarily needed a receiver, especially after they just went and got Keenan Allen. But it doesn't hurt to get a young stud receiver to pair with your young stud quarterback. I think you have your franchise guys in Chicago now, at least by my standards. And I think it should be exciting. It's an exciting time to be a Bears fan.
Yeah, I think that was an amazing pick.
Maybe they didn't need it because they have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, but DJ Moore's a bona fide stud.
And we just have breaking news. The Jets have traded the 10th overall pick to Minnesota, who had the 11th overall pick.
Oh, but they didn't trade pick 11. So Minnesota has back-to-back.
So Minnesota actually has back-to-back picks at 10 and 11.
Oh wow! Are they gonna go?
See JJ here.
They're probably no. They could go JJ and then probably a defensive end with Dallas Turner. Because they just lost Danielle Hunter. They're probably trying to get his replacement. But as there was this one Jets fan that I do know who really wanted Brock Bowers, so he's probably very upset right now that they will not be getting him because I'm assuming they traded down to 23. Well, he will not be available. But as I was going to say with the Bears drafting Odunze,
I think that is an absolute amazing pick. Yeah, they have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, but DJ Moore is in his prime right now. So in a couple years, he'll probably start to falter a little bit. Keenan Allen's 34 and can't stay healthy for an entire season. So you got him as a good receiver for like a year or two left, and he's already athletically pretty washed, but he's still technically very good. So he puts up big numbers. Now you get Odunze to pair with Caleb Williams. They could be like a Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase type situation, and I think that offense is going to be absolutely electric for years to come.
Yeah, definitely. I like Roma
Hey, here at this pick. I mean, someone who can run routes very fluidly, very technical, especially on his release, running routes. I feel like this is a great pick. I mean, with someone like Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, who are in your wide receiver room, who you're looking up to and getting reps with and picking up game, I feel like this is a good pick for Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears offense. I feel like.
Yeah, that's a good point. Those are very good mentors to have in your receiver room.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, Rome Odunze is a technical stud. That is exactly what Keenan Allen has built a career off of, and DJ Moore is not so bad himself. So Rome Odunze is going to be going into a beautiful situation, and the Vikings pick is in. They got picks 10 and 11 after trading up with the New York Jets. Back-to-back picks for the Vikings.
Jets have 11.
Okay,
they
so
swapped.
Oh, they probably just traded up a pick to get JJ then just to secure him. At first, when I saw it, it looked like Minnesota had 10 and 11.
Yeah, well, that's what it said on
Yeah, they probably just updated. Yeah, they're probably just trading up a pick just to make sure no one else trades with the Jets to jump them for JJ. They just want to ensure their guy. They probably gave up like a third or a fourth.
So who do we think the Vikings are going to take here just real quick around the round table before we get to the pick?
Yeah, JJ McCarthy. I think you don't trade up one pick for something like that unless you're trying to secure a quarterback. You didn't want anyone to jump you. It wouldn't make any sense for it to be any other position. I understand they're still the top edge rushers, which is a need for them. But I think, especially now that Dallas Turner didn't go 8, I think one of them probably falls to 23, and you need one to replace Danielle Hunter. But I think definitely that JJ McCarthy is the easy pick here.
And I think that Penix move by Atlanta definitely upped the pressure on Minnesota here. Yeah. I think it made them worry a little bit more that, hey, maybe teams that have an older quarterback may look to draft a quarterback here, and it really concerned them, especially with the Jets having Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback, who's 40.
Just came off an Achilles.
And came off an Achilles. I think the Vikings wanted to be better safe than sorry here. And I feel like that Penix move really scared them into trading up one pick, because I feel like if the Falcons were to select a Dallas Turner, I do not know that the Vikings would have made this move.
Yeah, I definitely see the Vikings going JJ McCarthy here. I mean, he had a spectacular pro day. Some might say he's the most pro-ready quarterback in this draft.
So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that Minnesota goes QB here, try to give Justin Jefferson a little more motivation to sign with them. I mean, he's still up in the air, so who knows what.
Yes, and obviously JJ McCarthy would be my pick as well for the Minnesota Vikings. Like you mentioned, Isaiah, he is a pro-style ready quarterback, and he's going into a very friendly offense with Kevin O'Connell there as the head coach. Obviously, he got some great pass-catching options. Like we mentioned earlier, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. It doesn't get much better than that. And if you're bringing in a guy like JJ McCarthy, he can fight with Sam Darnold for that starting spot. But even if he has to sit a little bit, you know, he's going to be learning from a very good head coach in Kevin O'Connell. But, you know, staying with it here, is there any other picks that the Vikings could make with this draft selection, as we do have a little bit of time here with commercials before we get to the actual draft pick itself?
As I alluded to, I could see a situation where they would go with a pass rusher with Danielle Hunter leaving, and they really do need pass rush help. And they have their choice of Dallas Turner, Latu Latu, Jared Verse. So I could see a scenario, but I think it's more like an 85-15, 90-10 split that I think they're it'd be pretty shocked if they don't go McCarthy, but I could see going edge rusher. Besides that, I really don't see any other position being taken here at pick 10.
I don't either. I feel like if it's not JJ,
It's going to be Bo Nix. I mean, I don't see Minnesota going anything but quarterback here, especially with someone like Sam Darnold as your QB1 as of right now. That is not enough to keep your best player on your team. That is not enough to win some football games, if you ask me. I don't think Sam Darnold is who people expected him to be when he was drafted. So, yeah, I would definitely see Minnesota either going JJ or going Bo Nix here at pick 10.
Yeah, I think they will go JJ. They're just showing JJ on the screen right now. Roger Goodell's about to come up any moment. So we'll await you with the Vikings pick, which we consensusly seem pretty confident in. But we'll just make sure.
Yes, and that's what Richie said. We are all consensusly pretty sure that the Vikings are going to select J.J. McCarthy with the 10th overall pick here in the 2024 NFL Draft. We are just moments away from Roger Goodell walking up to the podium, selecting the pick here.
They really like to drag this.
Yeah, they
out.
are really milking the 10th overall pick out.
Yeah, they do this a lot though. It's kind of annoying because they're just dragging it out so they get more view time and they can talk more and get more ads or whatever to make more money, which I get, but it's extremely annoying as a fan. It's like the pick's been in for like 5 to 10 minutes already. Why is it taking this long for them to actually announce it?
The Vikings receive the number 10 overall pick and a 2024 6th-round pick, number 203 for the Jets. 11. The Jets received the 11th pick, 4th-round pick,
number 129. And 157th in the 5th round. So that was the official trade that the Jets and Vikings just completed.
That's not bad for Minnesota. Then you gave up a 4th and a 5th. You get a 6th back, whatever. But you get to secure the guy you want. You make sure no one else jumps in front of you. Which for that price, if you hit on the quarterback, it seems like
nothing. If he ends up becoming a bust, everyone will look back and like, why would you trade off for him? Similar to a Trubisky situation in 2017 where they traded up one slot to get Trubisky. Obviously, it didn't work out. Everyone's like, what are you doing? Because he sucked. But if J.J. McCarthy, like Brandon Beane said when he took Josh Allen, if they suck, if he sucks, he's going to get fired anyway. So who cares how much they give up at that moment? If he hits, he looks like a genius. So I think giving up that little to make sure you get your guy is a smart move.
And here we go. Roger Goodell's up at the podium, waiting the pick here.
Yeah, it looks like someone's announcing the pick,
Yeah.
so they're announcing like who was going to announce it. But it looks like within the coming seconds, it should be. I can hear movement in the room over there. So I'm assuming the pick has already been made, and me just might be a couple seconds delayed. Yeah, it looks like I can hear him, and I can see his lips are moving.
It's got to be J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, it's got to be. Who?
He's going to hand it off to the family.
Oh, that's nice. That would be a dream come true to be able to announce a draft pick, especially in the first round.
You guys
That'd
hear
be
Sketch
fun.
is going to be.
Yeah, I did see that.
The Texans.
Yeah, it's kind of expected. Everyone loves Sketch.
Tuesday.
J.J. McCarthy. There it is.
J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback out of Michigan, is going to be going over to Minnesota. He's going to be throwing the football to Justin Jefferson, not a better receiver to ask for throwing the football to your rookie season if your rookie quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, finding his way over into the NFC North. And this draft is taking place in Detroit. So I can tell you right now, all the Lions fans that are there are definitely not a fan of J.J. McCarthy as of now, with him going to Minnesota.
Yeah, they probably moved that pick because it's a bunch of Vikings
Or a bunch of Lions fans, obviously being in Detroit. But you said Justin Jefferson, but you can't forget about Jordan Addison, who had almost 1,000 yards as a rookie. And that was with Kirk Cousins getting injured after week 4 and them having a bum as a QB. So imagine if Kirk Cousins stays healthy, he probably hits 1,000 yards. TJ Hawkinson was a top 3 tight end last year. They have some good offensive linemen like Christian Darrisaw. And then in the offseason, they just added Aaron Jones, who's he's had injury history, but when he's on the field, he is electric.
Top 10 running back went out.
Yes, and then Ty Chandler's a good backup. That is a very good running back duo. So he really could not have went out of all the available teams that were looking at drafting J.J. McCarthy. that was the absolute best landing spot for him. Now he gets a Sean McVay disciple and Kevin O'Connell being his coach. And when has that ever failed? They're quarterback and offensive gurus. They always get the best out of their quarterback. So as much as I don't think JJ McCarthy is like this amazing, like superstar player, I think he can be very successful in Minnesota with the team they have built around him and the coaching staff there.
And we'll get the rest of your guys' thoughts on the draft picks in just a second. The Jets draft pick is in at pick 11, but we'll get your guys' thoughts on the JJ McCarthy pick right here.
Well, JJ McCarthy is being very loved to very hated in the state of Michigan in just a matter of moments. But
yeah,
definitely. There's certainly a system that's meant for quarterbacks to thrive with Kevin McConnell. I think it's probably the best case scenario for him as a player. I feel like if he fell into some other situations, he would not be nearly as successful as he will be in Minnesota. But it should be interesting to see. He certainly has a lot of weapons. It's a well-coached team. And now we're just going to wait on who the Jets select.
I'm excited to see what Minnesota has going on for the future. I mean, him and Jordan Love going at it for the next few years is going to be something to watch, definitely.
Caleb Williams.
And especially for me as a Packers fan, I enjoy a good battle. I mean, Jordan Love has proven that the Packers are the team to beat besides Detroit. But now with JJ going Minnesota, it's going to be tough.
So with the pick being in the New York Jets, we wait a couple moments here as they await to take their first pick of the 2024 NFL Draft. And I think this may be another consensus pick between us four here. I think Brock Bowers is the move here. We'll go around the round table here, and we'll start with Alex. What do you think?
I think it's going to be Brock Bowers, but just to play devil's advocate, I could also see them drafting a tackle. Yes, they just got Morgan Moses and Tyron Smith, but both of them are 34 years old and injury prone. They're not the long-term answers there. I think they could go with someone like an Olu Fashanu or a Talise Fuaga. I think makes a little more sense because he can play guard. They move him into guard. He can play left or right guard, whichever one Veritaka doesn't play. And then once Morgan Moses or Tyron Smith moves on, then you kick him out to tackle, where I think he can be elite at both positions. But yeah, Brock Bowers just seems like the obvious fit. They need a tight end. They want to give Rodgers as many weapons as possible. They don't really need to go defenses. They've had an elite defense for the last few years. So Brock Bowers, is just an easy choice here.
Yeah, I would go a tackle here. I feel like, yes, you can go Brock Bowers. I mean, I feel like Garrett Wilson is expected to take a huge step. You have Mike Williams, who I know hasn't been what he used to be, but I feel like he's still a serviceable deep threat, especially at his size.
And here we go.
Sorry,
The pick is in, and Roger Goodell's at the podium.
They're too loud in there. That gives it away.
Spoiler, but
Olu
Fashanu is.
There it is.
Oh,
Olu
wow.
Fashanu, the offensive tackle out of Penn State. He will be protecting Aaron Rodgers here in this upcoming season. What are your guys' thoughts on the pick?
I like the pick.
I'm just questioning is if they think he can play guard, because they just traded for Morgan Moses and they just gave Tyron Smith a big one-year deal. So do they expect him to play guard this year? Because you don't take someone with the 11th pick for them to sit for a full year unless it's a quarterback, really, especially on a team that has a 40-year quarterback that's trying to win now. So I expect them to maybe have him try out guard, or maybe maybe Morgan Moses moves to guard and they throw him in at right tackle. They obviously have some type of plan if they're going to take him with this pick, but I'm just surprised it's not Brock Bowers. I know some Jets fans really wanted Brock Bowers there for that extra playmaking, but obviously that didn't happen.
And we're seeing some of the highlights here. And Fashanu can move, man. Like we mentioned, he can play inside and at tackle. Good stiff on his blocks, moves well, and allows his quarterback to throw the football with his good protection. That is a nice, solid pickup for the New York Jets. And we'll get the rest of your guys' thoughts on the Fashanu pick.
Yeah, I like Olu Fashanu for the Jets here. I feel like you have to protect Aaron. I mean, Aaron Rodgers got injured first week. I mean, you have to protect Aaron Rodgers for the little bit that he has left in him. I mean, I'm not mad at the pick. I would have never been mad if they would have went Brock Bowers to give Rodgers some more weapons and the QB of the future some more weapons. But yeah, I like the pick here.
I feel like Tyron Smith is on his way out also, so I could see Fashanu getting some reps at tackle his rookie year, but I do see him in the inside majority of the time.
And there is a Penn State pick in Fashanu taken in the first round.
Yeah, Denver's picks are.
Man, they were quick.
And Denver has to be a little disappointed that the top 4 quarterbacks are all off top five. Yeah, top 5 quarterbacks are all off the board right now.
Defensive player taken. They want to go defense. Everyone's available, which
Yeah,
is crazy. Already at pick 12.
And Dallas Turner has really slid. I think that's the pick here for Denver.
They're showing Bo Nix right here.
They're showing Bo Nix.
Terry on Arnold. I mean, I said him earlier for the Titans, I believe, or no, for the Falcons.
Yeah.
And one of the Broncos' needs is corner, and they already got a guy like Pat Surtain. And I said the same thing here for Atlanta and AJ Terrell, but not too many teams have the chance to pair up 2 young corners like a Surtain and an Arnold. And I think the Broncos could do that here with pick number 12.
Yeah, I mean, I get where you're going with that.
Having two elite corners obviously can really transform a defense, but the most important position on defense is pass rush, and Denver does not have anyone right now. And with Latu and Dallas Turner on the board, I think they have their choice at both. And the fact that the pick was in that fast, it makes me think that they probably expected Dallas Turner to go pick 8, and they wanted to take him. And the fact that he fell to them, they're like, oh, right away, they want him. Like, I think it was like a no-brainer. They probably didn't expect him to fall that far. Now that he is, it's like a no-brainer pick because, yeah, it was within like a minute after the Jets pick that Denver's pick was already in, which you rarely ever see that. Even if teams know, like even the first pick, it took like 6 minutes for the Bears to take Caleb Williams. Denver took it like that. So I expect it to be Dallas Turner.
I like Brock Bowers here. I feel like he's the best player available. I feel like
Denver has always, at pick 12, they have always been in the predicament where they have to go talent first. I mentioned it on prior shows. I feel like best talent is a priority here for Denver. I feel like they have a lot of weaknesses, a lot of holes in their roster. I see Brock Bowers, who's the best player available right here, going to Denver. Pair him up with who I think will win the QB job in Zach Wilson. You have Mims, you have Sutton. Yeah. I definitely see Denver going best player available here.
Well, I do think Dallas Turner would be the correct pick in my eyes, at least. I have a strange feeling that the Broncos are taking Bo Nix here. Once the same thing happened with the Falcons, where I saw Michael Penix on the couch, and I was like, "Why are they showing Penix?" I think it's the same thing with Bo here. I mean, obviously, Zach Wilson is a very less than ideal situation going into your starting quarterback. The top 5 quarterbacks are already taken. They desperately need one. I think that's probably where they go here. I don't know if I love the pick, but
yeah, I mean,
I have a strong feeling it's going to be Bo here.
I get where you're going with that. I just think the team, that roster is so depleted right now. Besides Pat Surtain, and then they have a decent offensive line. Who else do they really have? Like, I understand next year's quarterback class is not shaping up to be good. It's shaping up to be pretty bad. That's why you've seen this run on quarterbacks, because no one wants to wait till next year. But I think a team like Denver, they're just about to enter that rebuild, obviously moving off the Russell Wilson era. I think that they should wait and take a quarterback next year, or maybe even the year after that.
Or just sign a guy.
Yeah, or sign a bridge guy for a couple of years. But I think they need to focus on what Isaiah said, taking the number 1 player on the board, the most talented player, whoever number 1 on the board, whether it's Dallas Turner, Latu Latu, Terrion Arnold, Brock Powers, or even one of the tackles. Whoever's the best player on their board should be taken with this pick, because they need everything. And they don't really have the cap space right now. If they were to take a quarterback, I think they would just destroy him with how bad the team is. Cortland Sutton's kind of wanting out, or he wants a big contract that I don't really think he's worth. They just traded away Jerry Jeudy. The running back situation's all right. So, like, they just are so depleted that it would not make any sense to take a quarterback right now and just absolutely ruin him.
It would be the most Denver Broncos thing to take a wide receiver in the spot, even though I think they should take a defensive player, whether it's a D lineman or a cornerback. The pick is in. This will be the final pick before we head to break here. And the Broncos fans are going wild. They're getting electric, waiting to see
who
they select. Yeah. I hear you guys' thoughts of those big hats. If you're watching the draft at home, do you see those big hats?
I think they're funny. I think they're pretty cool. Whoever created them is a fun idea because I mean they're not really practical to wear in a normal situation, but they're funny. Like you saw Josh Allen put them on the one time. A lot of players will put them on for interviews after the game.
And the pick is in. Here is Roger Goodell.
Oh.
Oh,
you called it.
This is the worst team in the league next year. Book it.
Wow. No defender in the top 12.
So
number one pick, and I wouldn't be surprised if the number one pick, if they go maybe a Shador Sanders, maybe a Carson Beck.
So the Denver Broncos may have been forced to draft Bo Nix with all the quarterbacks being run off. But we will see you guys very shortly after the break as Richie Miller will be the host for the next segment, and we'll get back into the talk here on Bo Nix. This has been Buffalo Sports Insider. We'll see you guys very soon.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
And how's your serve coming along?
Not so good.
I think we should work on it this weekend.
Amy's birthday bash slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made.
Oh my God.
Stop. How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
How's your serve coming? I think we'll work on it this weekend.
Amy's slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. If you do.
Hi, Lauren. My name is Katie. We're gonna take care of you, okay? Ready?
1, 2, 3. Are we? And we are back to Buffalo Sports Insider. I'm your host, Richie Miller. We have the Las Vegas Raiders on the clock with pick 13. If you are just joining us, there have been 6 quarterbacks taken in the first 12 picks, with the most recent one being Bo Nix for Denver. Michael Penix, a huge shock to Atlanta after they just signed Kirk Cousins to that multi-year contract. What do you guys think about this surge of quarterbacks where we really only thought there was going to be 4 around this range?
I mean, this is bizarre, right? And this many by pick 13 is bizarre. And I'll take you one higher. We've had 12 straight offensive players, not one defensive player coming off the board. And we are an hour and 30 minutes into the draft here. So, Tommy, what do you think? This is like a seismic shift in the NFL.
Man, we were in the other room. We were talking about it. I said, I think McCarthy could go at 8 to the Falcons. I really like the move for Michael Penix. They really are high on this kid. And they have an out similar to the Daniel Jones contract. After 2 years, they can cut him at 0 cost. So if that happens, then that is the real case here. I think they have that realistic chance to shift over to Michael Penix after a year or two. I really like that transition. As for the Bo Nix selection, I really don't know what they're doing. I think they could definitely have moved back at least 5 to 10 picks and still had their guy there on the board. But, I mean, it is what it is. I really like the fit for Bo Nix, don't get me wrong, but it will be interesting to see how he works with a lackluster group in Denver.
Raiders are about to select. Do you think they choose defense for the first round?
Terry Arnold, baby. Dallas Turner's still there, too. Brock Bowers!
And 13
Oh, man.
This is an unpredictable draft.
Dude, I don't know what to say.
This is an offense-heavy draft. The strength of this draft was all this, so I
Not to this degree, though. I thought at least at least one edge rusher would have been taken.
Holy cow!
But
holy cow!
This is
Brock Bowers going to the Raiders.
Bowers going to the
Raiders.
I really like that. I really do, man. I think he offers a very,
pretty complete game when you go within blocking, when you are talking about just overall being able to receive the ball as well. This guy offers both worlds, the best of both worlds at that. Generational tight end prospect. I really do like Michael Mayer from last year, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime scenario for the Raiders, and I think this works out pretty
And
well.
we are now joined by Michael. Michael, what do you think of this Brock Bowers?
I mean, Brock Bowers, you said it best. Generational. This guy can receive. He can get yards after the catch.
This guy is just a powerhouse in himself. And then, he's paired with great wide receivers, Devontae Adams. He's going to do great.
All right, so I have 2 questions transitioning. Who do you think will be the first team to take a defensive player? And do you think with the amount of offensive players that are selected right now, are you scared if you're the Bills that your receiver's not going to be there?
Yeah, this is scary. I mean, the offensive players are coming off at an alarming rate at this point, and now we have New Orleans on the clock. I think they're going to go tackle, which will make it an astonishing 14 offensive straight players.
Look out for Talise Fuaga.
Yeah, they need a tackle. It could be. I think I mocked them there actually. And Indianapolis looking at a wide receiver. I heard Seattle at 6'2".
I heard that's a crusher. That's board here. If you're the Colts, man, I think they would have loved him. Even the Saints needed, they could use one as well, with Jawan Johnson being the current tight end number 1 there. Maybe Adam Troutman fighting for that. Either way, neither are beating out of Brock Bowers. I think that's a tough one there. I really think they could go with a defensive player here. Dallas Turner's still on the board. I'm absolutely shocked that he hasn't been going. I really would have liked that if Denver would have picked him up. They need edge pretty badly, but here we are.
I'm going to say Seattle goes with the first defensive player.
Ooh,
that's 2 picks from now.
I think the Colts do it. I think the Colts had a lot of people thinking Jared Verse there. I saw a lot of people thinking Jared Verse there. Dallas Turner's still on the board. If these guys do inevitably to take Dallas Turner, that would just shore up the D-line. Him, Grover, Stewart, DeForest Buckner on that D-line, absolutely amazing for the Indianapolis.
And I'd just like to throw out a scenario. The Rams, after Aaron Donald just retired, if Dallas Turner could fall into their lap at 19.
Maybe a move up, man. Maybe a move up at this point.
Honestly speaking, I think the Rams might go with the Byron
Byron. I don't think he. I heard Cincinnati. Really, I think Cincinnati loves that kid. I think Quentin Williams is the right move. It's Leonard Williams, for the Seattle Seahawks. I think that they won't go with the D lineman. I don't think he makes it past the Bengals, though. Byron Murphy's a pretty good player. And losing DJ Reader to the Lions, I really wonder if that's the way they'll go.
Now, we're mentioning all these defensive players. We're mentioning Byron Murphy and Dallas Turner, and the quarterbacks haven't gone off the board yet. My number 1 is Leatu Latu.
I would love that for the
was medically retired, but this is the reason he's falling. I think he's the best prospect in the draft as a pure talent standpoint on the defensive side of the ball.
I agree 110%. If it wasn't for those health concerns, I'd put him over Dallas Turner. I'd put him over any of these other guys in the class. It's just those health concerns are there, and they are very consistently there. And when you have those kinds of issues, it's very hard for them to be so high on a guy, especially in the first round. If I'm anybody right now, though, a team that I could see take a chance on him is the LA Rams.
Yeah, teams don't want to draft a liability.
They don't want to draft a guy that, has injury problems. So, going Dallas Turner would definitely possibly be the best situation for them.
So are we dead set on the Rams taking pass rush? Because I could see
I think so.
Do you think they're dead set on the interior? Because they had Byron Young and Kobe Turner perform last year as rookies.
I don't think it's necessarily a D lineman. I think it's just obvious defense here. I think that offense is absolutely insane. Tyler Higbee at tight end. You got Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp being the 2 receivers there. You even got Kyron Williams coming out as a really big threat at the end of the year. Matthew Stafford still playing at an elite level. I couldn't see anything there. Obviously, with the quarterbacks all off the board, I don't think they go quarterback.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man.
I could see them going O-line. Because
I could see an O-lineman, but they just re-signed Roger Saffold. I think they brought in Jonah Jackson from the Lions, if I'm not mistaken, as well, which is a very nice pick. I think there's a lot that goes into this, but I really think they got to go defense at least. But who's going to be left?
These things are
maybe who's going to be left? Maybe a Fuaga, but of course, Troy Fautanu. I think he doesn't make pass.
Troy Fautanu played with Seattle's offensive coordinator, UW.
True. Also gets to stay in Washington, too. Staying for so long. So it's kind of something like the Aiden Hutchinson move last a couple years ago.
I'm going to tell you what, guys, this board is falling pretty terribly for the Bills because we have
realistically, the only guy left that a lot of people are high on for the Bills is Brian Thomas Jr.
I don't think he makes it past Indianapolis. Jacksonville needs a receiver.
Jacksonville, I've heard a lot about the corner, especially if Terry Arnold is still there. So what if these other guys still on the board? And of course, Dallas Turner is a very intriguing option too. If pairing him up with Josh Allen, talking about a stud defensive line.
But you guys think Xavier Leggett's not going to get up?
Picked up.
I think Pittsburgh could get there. Pittsburgh, maybe the Chiefs make a move up if they really like Leggett. I'm not sure how they view him. I know a lot of people like Adonai Mitchell as well, receiver out of Texas. I think that size with speed, he's a lot like Brian Thomas, maybe a consolation prize for the Bills. And I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen any more news on the Bills right now with a little bit of the phones here. I think a move up. Like realistically, if you look at the Bills, man, we're not that team to lay down and just give up. Especially with Brandon Bean running the phones, man. I would be genuinely surprised if he doesn't at least try to make a move up.
I think the Bears and Niners are only shot. Go ahead, Zach.
I'm not too nervous about the receiver depth. The receiver depth for the Bills because this draft is deep at receiver. But we got a question.
What's the question? We got
Rook from Clemson.
Rook Aurora in the first round. That's a crazy take. No, I don't agree with that.
I mean, the Saints like to go off the board. We saw Peyton Turner a couple years ago. Who knows, man? But over Dallas Turner.
No, I just found a stat. The NFL record for most offensive players taken without a defensive player is 19 in the 2009 NFL draft. We're at pick 14 right now. Do you think this record could be broken?
In the draft, like in the draft, the first round.
I think if it's just first round, I think we beat that. If it's in a row, though, I don't think so.
No, in the row, it was top 10. Though I think that never happened before.
This may be the first time as we're seeing.
It's got to be a tackle.
Big thing about the pick is in now. So
the Saints are horrendous at tackle. Trevor Penning is not panned out.
Penning out of was he TCU?
No, Trevor Penning was Northern Iowa.
Northern Iowa, yeah.
That's where Spencer Brown is from.
Oh, yeah, Spencer Brown.
His Senior Bowl appearance really would buoyed him up to them, and that just was not sustainable, it seems.
Trevor Penning's he's just a cancer for that locker room, man. He was throwing punches and stuff like that. He's just not the guy you want in the locker room, especially if he's not playing elite like a Diggs or someone like that who's also in that same conversation of players. And if you're not getting either of those things, then
teams draft on character, man.
Realistically, you have a
it's very huge in the locker room.
Like Parsons fell to do for that exact reason. They could say something like that. And so it's a really big thing for these teams, especially trying to build a culture for these younger teams, a team like Houston, a team like Detroit, trying to build that young, full team that's just there and constantly bring it. And some of these guys are not there. That's the podium.
Yeah, if I'm gonna go tackle, I
think it's Fuaga. I'm gonna lock in Tolise Fuaga, Oregon State.
Tolise
Fuaga. I love that move. I love that move.
Player on the board, though. I mean,
one thing I really want to mention here, real quick. Sorry to cut you off, Michael. I really like his versatility. I think this guy can do everything on the offensive line, but center. I think he can play that guard if they need him. I think they'll stick him at left tackle, considering the Trevor Penning stuff. But I really think, especially with Ryan Ramczak's health being up in the air as well. Sure. Put him at right tackle if you absolutely have to as well. So realistically, a very versatile player that's very good. I love that move for the Saints.
He's very athletic. I really feel like he fits his own scheme best because he's great out in space. His measurables are great. It's just he's a good all-around tackle that would really work well.
I need to steal the spotlight for a second. I put a mock draft out earlier today. I am
8-14 on my mock draft. Oh my Lord. Oh my God, this is crazy. 8 by pick 14. I'll pat myself on the shoulder here. Indianapolis up at 15. I think this is going to be potentially a receiver. What do you guys think?
I think they might actually go Dallas Turner. I really like the move to get an edge rusher. I think that linebacker core could be lacking. You can put him at edge or you can put him at linebacker. I think, honestly, like the Fuaga pick, Dallas Turner offers that versatility. And if you're not looking for the health concerns to also be a factor here, maybe Leatu Latu is the pick as well. I really would not be surprised if these guys are the first team that goes defense.
I honestly think they might go. They need some kind of depth in that secondary.
Especially with
with
order still being on the board. You might as well be able to get your guy from now. Especially that guy, the one from Alabama. I'm his name. Yeah, Terry Arnold. I really feel like that would go great for them.
Quinyon Mitchell, just that competition is really scaring me a little bit.
But he came up to the Senior Bowl.
True, man, true. I will give him his flowers for that, but I feel like these NFL teams, they're more so giving that impact to a guy who's from Alabama.
He played that consistently.
And when you have that consistency
like
Terrion Arnold,
for a guy like Terrion Arnold.
I mean, there's an argument for both sides, right? Both sides, right? Alabama, who's physical, who's dog, or you've got Quinyon Mitchell performing at the Senior Bowl. And I'll say this: he's twice of an athlete as Terrion Arnold.
I agree 110%. As much as I like Arnold, I really like Mitchell's athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
I think he can be very athletic at times. And I think you could even maybe see him do a hybrid role where maybe if there's a safety need,
he could switch to safety.
Marv in the Senior Bowl were beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So I really think that pays well for him. I don't think you can go wrong with either one.
Hey man, I play DB myself, and you gotta go Mitchell. I mean, this guy, he has all the athleticism in the world, great hips. He's just great feet, great hand stab. I mean, this guy, he can definitely make a team different.
So let me ask you this from a DB perspective.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If you're the guy up there in the booth calling the shots for the draft, you're a GM. Corners are on the board. Do you want the dog who's physical or the athletic freak who's technical?
I'd rather go with the athletic freak, man, because you can fit him into any system
possible. Really, athleticism over just domination. If you got a dominant guy, he fits well in a man or a press coverage thing, maybe even a nickel spot. If you don't want to put him in the nickel slot corner, you could play him on that boundary. But you look at a player like Quinyon Mitchell, he can play on the inside. I'm telling you, he can play that safety role if you really needed that out of him. He offers that versatility. He offers that hybrid player that everybody wants. He offers you that versatility in the fact that he can play any position. And when that happens, I feel like you got to go with the athleticism.
Hey, having a person that can play multiple positions at the DB spot is very, very crucial.
I mean, knowing just how to come from the post or play outside at a cornerback or even play in the slot. It's such a necessity nowadays, you know, with how much nickel formations are being ran in the NFL now. I mean, dude, this guy, he can offer technicality. Technicality, that's pristine in my eyes because I like technical cornerbacks for myself.
Especially how these modern offenses are ran. They put so much stress deep down the field. So you kind of need that technicality because defense
really can't defend anymore. So you need to know how to, you know, be good with your hands, be good with your feet, know how to cheat the right way. I mean, being a DB, it kind of legally got to get away with cheating. You got to know because you guys' hands are tied. You guys' hands are tied.
One thing I really want to add here is that you got a guy, number 23 on the Indianapolis Colts, Kenny Moore.
And you got him in the slot. Let's say he goes down, knock on wood. Hopefully that does not happen. Who do you got playing the slot after that? Really, who can fit in that slot cornerback role? If you draft a Quinyon Mitchell and he goes down with injury, again, knock on wood, he can switch and play that inside role. And if he stays healthy, he can also play the outside.
I find it funny we're having this conversation about versatility, nickel play, safety play. Cooper DeJean's name.
Exactly. I've been thinking about Cooper DeJean this whole time. The one thing that a lot of people don't like is that lack of physicality. And I think Quinyon Mitchell can bring that physicality. And athleticism.
Imagine this is offense. 15 straight.
Just corner for no reason.
Ryan Thomas is there. Ryan Thomas is there. Maybe Xavier Worthy even. I think
that was the rave recently is Xavier Worthy to the Colts. Let's see, because they want to see.
They got a big guy like Michael Pitt. They don't need a Brian.
They take these guys. I think the Alec Pearson's been his old.
Yeah, true. I agree 110%. Take a look at that.
I mean, Josh Downs.
So good in the slot.
You look at a team like you look at a team like Miami. They have two. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, you can make it work with two guys, especially since Xavier Worthy didn't necessarily have to play the slot. Same with Josh Downs. I think Downs could definitely be your receiver two on the outside. You put Xavier Worthy in the slot, works perfectly.
Small, man.
I think that offense is really what needs that step, though. I think I like the defense a lot, but I really think they should shore it up in the second, the fourth, fifth rounds.
The Colts nailed it. That's a scary team with Anthony Richardson.
Yeah,
I honestly thought this trade
Alex
was
Pierce is sneaky too, man.
Yes.
Alex Pierce
I
is
thought
crazy.
I thought the Colts were a prime spot for Brandon Ayuk. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think they're gonna do it now. It's too late, but
yeah.
We'll see where he goes throughout the night. Potentially,
I expect Anthony Richardson to actually have a huge bounce back season.
Oh yeah,
really? Yeah.
I wouldn't say bounce back season. He was playing amazing until his injury. He was playing absolutely great, and so
you got to learn how to slide.
Here we go.
Yeah, that's one thing.
That's the only thing.
Pick us in. Let's see.
Okay.
Stupid in the other room.
UCLA,
I told you guys.
Defensive players officially being off the
He's gonna be
board.
first defensive
I love that pick. I love that.
A lot of people thought Latu would slide due to his being forced to be medically retired with his neck injury, but he's the first defensive player off the board. It took quite a while for there to be one, but
Dude, his bag is so deep.
No,
He can do anything you ask,
bro. The injury is kind of scary. That's the only thing. He has all the potential in the world.
Look at Montez Sweat, man. Montez Sweat was the exact same way, and look at how he's turned out. He's turned out amazing, too. I think Latu, I think hands down, is the best player in this draft class defensively. I think you could realistically see him go in the top 10 if he's not dealing with these medical issues. Even top 5 is really a stretch, too, if it wasn't for this deep quarterback class.
But look, his productivity is there. The neck injury, 2-3 years old. He was healthy this year. I really feel like this is a boomer bust pick. But I feel like he's a hard worker. We haven't heard anything bad about his character. I really love this pick for them. I really do.
I mean, hey, you kind of changed my mind on it. I mean, when you put it like that, I mean, definitely, I can see him definitely going to the Colts,
definitely fitting in because they do need somebody at that spot. So
yeah, if you're looking from a bird's eye view, this was my top defender on the draft. I actually had him going 8th to Atlanta, so this is a bit of a slide for me. But his handwork is second to none. He's got the moves. I mean, maybe you like a little bit more out of the physicality from him. But I mean, as a pure pass rusher, this guy was the best in the draft. I know a lot of people say Dallas Turner, but he's more of that athletic guy who needs to refine his game. And guys, we might go on a defensive alley here because Seattle's on the clock. I think they go defense. Jacksonville could take the first corner off the board. And then Cincinnati, well, they might want to tackle. But
the fact that
Cincinnati really likes Byron Murphy, though.
Yeah.
And also, I would like to point out, we are kind of in Bill's trade-up range if that were to happen.
Brian Thomas is where? I mean, Brian Thomas is still there. I don't know if he'd make it past 20, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So the Bills, personally, if I was Brandon Beane right now, I'm sitting on my hands because this is what we expected, right? It was kind of a long shot if the Bills wanted to trade up and get one of those top guys, right? Odunze goes at 9. That was the last spot I thought where it made sense to trade up. I'm not allocating resources at this point to go get I don't want to call him a one-trick pony, but he's really all he is a vertical threat, right? He doesn't his route running isn't refined. I mean, his average depth of target is like 17 yards. And I guess you want that for Josh Allen. But then again, if you take him, I think you got to double down again and go get a route runner.
I think I agree with that because if you look at a player that he really reminds me of, it's Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is a deep route runner, like that deep guy, that deep vertical threat. But at the same time, he did not offer that route running capabilities. He was never getting open with the playbook. And when you have a player like that, you really need that guy who has that refined route running, especially losing Diggs, man. Especially losing Diggs, who even though, at the back end of the season, he was not putting up elite numbers. At the beginning of the season, he was tearing it up. He's one of the best route runners in the league, bar none. And when you have a player like that that's just gone now to Houston, you really need to find that route runner. If no one else can be that route runner, then basically what do you do?
I think they should go with Lad McConkey. He's to me like
That guy's shifty. He's smaller but shifty.
Athletic, hard worker.
I comparison that as
Yes.
I mean,
Okay, I can see that.
Got big little speed, got a little
fake little speed.
Bouncing a step. He got a bag, dude. He got a bag. He got a bag. Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that because one guy in this draft that kind of reminds me of Troy Franklin.
Okay.
I don't know what running, but build and speed.
I can definitely give that.
Maybe the Bills move up for Dallas Turner, take Franklin in the second round.
That
would be insane. That'd be an insane move.
Would you be discouraged to trade up for a receiver? Do you really think there's that much in Brian Thomas and Brian Thomas to say they're gonna let Sanchez again?
I mean, dude, I was just looking at it. I mean, yes, Brian Thomas, right? The guy was second in athleticism for the draft combine. And then you look at a guy like Xavier Legette, 6'1", runs a 4.3 something. The guy can play in the slot, motion. He can also get RPOs. He can be used down the field. I mean, yes, Brian Thomas is really good, but Xavier Legette can be right there with him.
You can say the exact same thing about Brian Thomas.
4.34 40-yard dash at 6'4", 230 pounds. Like that's absolutely amazing in my opinion. For to be able to run that fast is absolutely insane. But that's exactly what I was saying, man. He can run like down the field quickly. He can be that deep threat, but the route running is not refined. The route running really does need work, and that's the exact same issues we were having with Gabe Davis, who we just let walk to Jacksonville.
But do you feel like Curtis Samuel could add that
route running aspect to the Bills?
If it's short route running, you're talking deep route running, I don't think so.
You got to forget you got Matt Collins as well.
I feel like
Matt Collins is the guy that
he's a freak. Yeah.
If you need some, you need a.
But I mean,
short dime. Curtis
I think we're all basing that off of his quarterback play. How far can the quarterbacks that he played with throw? And then when they did throw it that far, I feel like he was one of those guys to go up and get it. So that's just me.
I feel like Curtis Samuel definitely gives a reliable aspect to this Bills receiving core.
Yeah.
I do still think they're missing a receiver one.
For sure.
But I honestly think this receiver class is very deep. And if I'm looking at it, I'm a little bit content at staying at 28 here. Odunze is the last guy, like you said, that I would have really considered trading up for.
Okay, now, Richie, say they stay at 28. Are you doubling down within the top 3 rounds for the Bills? Or actually 4 rounds. You got to admit, they don't have a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
I think they could. And if I'm being honest, one guy that could really fall is Adonai Mitchell with his concerns with diabetes. And if he were to fall to 2nd round, I doubt he'll fall to 4th. But if he were to fall to late 2nd round, to get that type of value in the 2nd round would be pretty hard to pass up on.
Reminds me a lot of the Osiris Torrance thing last year.
Yes. And if you can compare that with a receiver you could get in the late 1st, if Legette's there, if even Brian Thomas is there, that's a win for the Bills.
For sure.
But that would be fun because I kind of picture him as like a DK Metcalf light.
I love that draft comp. I really do. I think that's perfect.
I mean, dude, I watched the film. You can use him anywhere. So definitely.
Okay, Seahawks pick is in, and then
Seahawks pick is in. This will be our last pick until we move segments.
For sure. Let's see where they go here, man.
What are we thinking for this one?
Defense, for sure.
We're thinking corner, D-line.
Dallas Turner or Byron?
Dallas Turner.
not corner. Not corner. I feel like they drafted.
Just got Van Ginkel too from Miami.
Van Ginkel, he's pretty good.
Van Ginkel with Turner.
He stepped up. Last season.
I wouldn't roll out Cooper DeJean either. I mean, any team would use that versatility.
Yeah, Cooper DeJean.
You need a guy, and he can tackle too. That's the thing. When you put a guy in nickel, you want him to be 175
I think he could fall to Green Bay. I think Green Bay.
I had him to Green Bay in my mock.
Green Bay really needs that versatile guy, corner safety guy. I think he'd play corner for Green Bay, honestly. I think he'd play corner.
You know what's funny is I wonder if the Seahawks will actually dip their toes in the quarterback market after the first 3 rounds. With Geno Smith being on the contract.
Seattle is taking forever to pick here. We're about to change segments. I don't know if we should stay here to watch Seattle any minute now.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
How's your serve coming? I think we'll work on it this weekend.
Amy's slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. If you do.
You wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
Hello, welcome back to this special edition of Buffalo Sports Insiders NFL 2024 Draft. I am here. We're waiting for this pick with the Seahawks. The pick is in currently, and we're waiting to see that. Guys, how are you feeling about this pick with the Seahawks? What are we looking at?
I'm expecting them to go edge rusher here with someone like Dallas Turner
falling this far. I expected him to go 8 to the Falcons. I think they need edge rush. I think him and Leonard Williams could be pretty nasty. I think it's just an absolute perfect fit there. I'd be pretty shocked unless they went like Byron Murphy. I'd be pretty shocked if they go anything else other than Dallas Turner here.
Yeah, Dallas Turner definitely fell. But at the end of the day, they're still here with this pick.
Byron Murphy, yep. Okay, got him. Okay, I think that's a pretty good. Him and Leonard Williams, that D line is that defense is looking a lot better after having Tariq Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, getting Leonard Williams at the trade deadline. Now they add someone like Byron Murphy, who most people had as a top 10 talent, top 15 talent in this class, but fell because of the run on offensive players. I think that is a very good pick for them.
And obviously very emotional over there. Guys, what are we feeling with this draft so far? Like everybody, all of our viewers, please make sure you check out our website, buffalosportsinsider.com. We did a mock draft. I don't think we did that well right there, but what are we feeling, Evan, with our mock draft? How are you feeling right now? What's left for all these teams left in this, rest of this round?
Yeah, I mean, I can surely attest to everyone here watching that our mock draft was completely inaccurate.
Yeah.
I predicted that 6 quarterbacks would be taken in the first 12 picks and the run on 14 straight picks of offensive players. It's an NFL record. I'm pretty sure Alex.
It's an NFL record.
It's just been ridiculous. I mean, obviously myself, I'm only 20 years old, and I've only been able to watch and be in on so many NFL drafts. But normally you see a nice diversity of offensive and defensive players taken. Heck, you even see a special teams player taken once in a while. But we are seeing a run-on of offensive players, and we're going a couple back-to-back picks here with defensive players. So nice to see Byron Murphy being taken here at 16 by Seattle. It's a great pickup, obviously the top defensive tackle in this draft. Wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing a run-on here of defensive players now that the offensive talent is kind of off the board here a little bit.
So, Alex, we were talking about this, backstage. The NFL set this record with 14 straight offensive players to start the draft, shattering previous record of 7 in 2021. What are your thoughts on this? How is this draft gonna look moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, if any draft was to do it, it was definitely
this one, with it being a deep quarterback class, being a deep receiver class, and being a deep tackle class, 3 of the most important positions in football, and also kind of being a little weaker on the defensive side. I mean, you have some studs like Latu, Dallas Turner, Byron Murphy, Quinion Mitchell, Terry Arnold, to name a few, but there wasn't nearly the offensive talent. Like obviously this receiving class is extremely deep. This tackle class is extremely deep. The quarterback class, who most expected maybe 5 go in the first round, 6 went in the first 12. That is unheard of. Usually every year people hype up and say, oh, there's going to be this many quarterbacks taken that early, and then there's always 1 or 2 that falls to the second round, and then the year everyone expects 1 or 2 to fall to the second round is the year 6 go in the first 12, which is just absolutely insane. It's crazy to watch, really. As a fan of football, it's so much fun to watch craziness like this happen.
Michael and Shay, we have a pick in here for the Vikings. Really quickly, shout out. What do you think?
Oh, it's a trade.
It's a trade.
The Jags had that pick, so they must have traded up with the Jags.
Okay, so what do you guys think before Goodell announces this?
I think they could possibly go DB here.
Oh.
Is that Dallas Turner?
Is that Dallas Turner?
Yeah, that makes sense. That explains it.
We're talking about that backstage.
Wow, that's the perfect replacement for. Well, they haven't even updated the. But that's the perfect
replacement for Danielle Hunter. Obviously, him being one of the premier pass rushers over the last 5 years, and him going to Houston on that deal, they really needed a defensive end, and now you add someone like Dallas Turner, who most people thought was the best defensive player in this draft and expected to go 8 to the Falcons. For him to fall all the way to 17, I think is just absolutely absurd. I think it's great value for the Vikings. I think if they hit on that McCarthy pick, I think he's going to be a stud. I think this could go down as an all-time good draft for the Vikings.
All right, the Bengals are up next with this 18th pick. Shay, what do you think the Bengals are going to do here?
That's a good question.
I really do think that the Bengals are looking to protect their quarterback right now. I mean, Joe Burrow has had a lot of injuries. I personally thought that they should have taken Brock Bowers if he was available. I honestly don't know what they're going to do here. I'm very interested. Defensive tackle does look very interesting in this situation. I think that they have an opportunity to pick a top defensive player that maybe has fallen a bit. So it could be a very interesting pick for Cincinnati here.
Keeping this Buffalo centric as well. This pick is gonna affect us a little bit here with the Buffalo Bills always versing the Bengals in those playoff situations. What do you think the Bengals are going to select here, Alex and Evan? And how do you think this is going to affect us in the future?
I'll let you go first, Evan.
Yeah, so I mean, the report a couple of days ago was that Bengals edge rusher Trey Hendrickson did actually request a trade. And when you have a player like Trey Hendrickson, who's been very good for you over the last couple of seasons, you're going to have to look to replace him if this trade request that he made actually goes through. So when taking a look at the players that are still left, I think Jared Verse, the edge rusher out of Florida State, may make a little bit of sense here for the Cincinnati Bengals. And obviously playing in the playoffs against quarterbacks like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, now guys entering the chat like CJ Stroud, Justin Herbert, he's got a new head coach over there in Harbaugh. You never know. And getting a guy like Verse there, the pass rusher from Florida State, could be a big pickup here for Cincinnati, maybe with Hendrickson out on his way.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see them going the Jared Verse route, but they haven't traded Hendrickson yet. So maybe they plan on re-signing him. They're still trying to work that out. So I think they're going to try and find a way to keep him. But what they do need is a defensive tackle, with DJ Reader being one of the best defensive tackles in the league leaving, and there's a perfect one right to replace him, Johnny Newton out of Illinois. I think he's an absolute stud. I think he's someone who also fell due to the run on offense.
I thought the Bengals were going to take Byron Murphy, but now that he's gone, I think you pivot to Johnny Newton, and I don't see much of a difference. I think it's like a 1A, 1B for who's the best defensive tackle in this class, and I think Johnny Newton would be a slam dunk pick for them.
Perfect. I mean, let's have a little fun here. Michael, we've been talking about this in the back for a little while. This fashion that we're seeing tonight, what are your thoughts? That chrome heart suit.
Caleb, I think he took it all, man. You got the little zip-up suit going on, the chrome heart 21. It was really a fashion show you put on there. I also liked Neighbors fit as well. He had a nice little suit on with his chain, so that was pretty nice. I like their fashion.
With the Bengals still not with a pick in currently, I believe we need to talk about like what's going on with this draft. I mean, yes, we talked about this offense like picks right now. What do we think moving forward with defense? Who is still out there for these other teams to get? Who is going to want to move trade up? Are we going to see some trades? What are we thinking?
I think you can definitely expect some
Trades. There hasn't even been excuse me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there hasn't even been a corner taken. Most mock drafts, most people projected there to be like 4 or 5. You got Terrion Arnold, Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, players like Ennis Rakestraw, Mike Sandstrill, Kool-Aid McKinstry. There's Kamari Lassiter from Georgia. There's a lot of good corners available. So I expect, and especially a lot of these teams, now that there's a run on offense, there's a lot of these teams that were picking in the teens and the 20s. Now we're having these defensive players fall into their laps, or someone who already took an offensive player earlier in the draft could trade back in to get one of these corners, because there's still a lot of good talent at cornerback available. And with how pass happy this league has become, cornerback is extremely valuable. And I think you'll see a couple of teams trading up to get the guy that they want.
And just on the last segment, we're talking about the versatility of these corners. I mean, having these corners play safety and outside corner, Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell, like these guys, they're really versatile. Like they could really do what they got to do on the field. So I'm glad that they're, yes, they have fallen, but I feel like they're going to fall into the right hands.
Moving a little into the future of this draft, I mean, our next segment is definitely going to probably cover this, but Shay, this Kansas City sitting at 32. Are you expecting them to trade up maybe while we're in this segment here?
I mean,
good wide receivers out there. And I have no idea what they're going to do, what they're thinking, but you never can count out Brett Veach in this situation because sometimes the Chiefs will do something that's completely unexpected in the draft. Personally, I don't think they're going to trade up, sadly, but there are a lot of good wide receivers still on the board here. And I'm very interested to see where guys like Brian Thomas, Ladd McConkey, Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, if he gets drafted in this round, I'm very interested to see where they all end up because I still think that there's 4 or 5 guys at the wide receiver spot who could still get drafted in this first round. And I personally think that the Chiefs should get one of these guys. And if not, we need an offensive tackle. We have Donovan Smith going into free agency. We're kind of low on depth right there right now. So realistically, I do want a wide receiver because we don't know what's going to happen with Rashee Rice. We don't know what's going on in that situation. It's been pretty vague. He could be suspended for the whole entire season. Nobody knows yet. So fingers crossed for a wide receiver. And I would love it if we traded up because I think Brian Thomas would be a perfect player for the Kansas City Chiefs in this moment.
So the pick is in right now for the Bengals. We're still waiting on that. They're covering Caitlin Clark, that legend, basketball legend right there, you know, with the Indiana Fever card. Personal favorite, just love her. I'm so proud of that. I'm going to focus a little on the Bills again. We're waiting on this. Do we see them trading up or we're staying at a comp 28?
I think it happens. As many people have already said, Bean is traded up and
4 and 6 drafts, go get a guy he wants. When Bean wants a guy, he will go get it. And I think Brian Thomas is the guy he wants because I think he realizes he fits exactly what we need. We need someone who creates downfield separation. Someone can go and get those 20, 30, 40 big yard plays because we have players like Kincaid. We have Shakir. We have Curtis Samuel. We have James Cook. We have these players that can get these underneath routes to keep picking up first downs. But then you saw in the Chiefs game when we can't have someone who can create a big play down the field, they can't get open, they can't make the catches, the Chiefs defense plays tighter. And in the fourth quarter, we weren't able to run the ball. We weren't able to get these short passes nearly as much because we didn't have someone that could stretch the field like that. And Brian Thomas is exactly that. He may not be the most refined route runner now, but he is great at getting open down the field. He is absolutely electric. And I think if Brian Thomas falls a couple more picks, or maybe even very soon, I think you see Bean starting to heavily pick up the phones and go and get the guy he wants, which I hope and think will be Brian Thomas Jr.
What is that? Oh, sorry, Shay, go ahead.
Yeah,
No, you're good.
I agree with what Alex said. I do think the Bills need a guy like that. I mean, he talked about it in the playoff game against the Chiefs. You know, Josh Allen obviously has an arm. He is a very talented gentleman. And I do think that a guy like Brian Thomas, sadly, could get picked up by Buffalo here. And I think that he has the potential to be a number 1 wide receiver 1 for Buffalo. And he could do a lot of damage in the NFL next year because he is a guy who likes to get into the end zone. 17 touchdowns last year. That was a very high. I think he was second in the FBS. I'm pretty sure.
Sorry to break it. I'm very upset about this pick. Marius Mims for the Bengals. I had him projected to go to the Steelers or even the Cowboys, and I'm very upset about this. How are you feeling about this pick? This is not what I thought was about to happen.
I think it's a good pick.
I mean, as you've seen, Burrow's had some injury concerns. He's missed 2 out of his 4 years now with season-ending injuries. So it makes sense that they're finally spending a first-round pick to protect him because their line it's gotten a little bit better since his rookie year, but their line has been bad. And they already have the receivers. I guess their defense needs some work. But when you're giving a quarterback that much money, I think you have to heavily invest in making sure he's protected, making sure he stays healthy. Because when he is healthy, the Bengals are one of the best teams in the league. But if he can't stay healthy, it doesn't matter how much talent they have.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, you nailed it perfectly there. Getting your offensive lineman there to protect Joe Burrow is just exactly what the Cincinnati Bengals needed to do. They already got their 2 outside guys in Chase and T. Higgins, and just once again solidifying that line, getting a guy under contract for 4 years, at least 5th year, with that option if they do take it down the line. Cost-controlled offensive lineman. That's what GMs love to do when they have quarterbacks under the contract that a guy like Joe Burrow has. Cost-controlled value is just what teams like the Cincinnati Bengals need to do, and I think they did that here with that draft pick. Protect Burrow. Once again, Alex, you mentioned he's been injured for 2 of his 4 seasons with season-ending injuries. They don't want to have that for a 3rd year, just going into his 5th year in the NFL. Getting the guy there was a great pick.
We have a question in our comments right now. Package Josh Allen for a haul of picks.
Yeah.
I've seen that floating around on Twitter, and I don't think it'll happen, and two, I don't want it to happen. I think when you have a franchise quarterback like Josh, unless they publicly ask to want out, you don't trade them because they're the most valuable, and they're so valuable. They're way more valuable than any other position. Unless they publicly want out and they're saying, I'm not playing for you ever again, then you go and get the value you can. But in this situation, he's in the prime of his career. We take on so much dead cap by trading him. The amount of picks you'd have to get to even think about it, no team would ever do, because then they could not build a team around, because they wouldn't have picks for the next 5 years at least, because it would just take that many just for the Bills to even listen. And even then they would still say, no, we have our franchise guy who loves to play in this city. The fans love him. We would never trade him.
Yeah, this is the only thing I'm going to say about the Josh Allen potential trade package for a ton of picks. How long? Allegedly, how long did it take the Bills to find a guy like Josh Allen since Jim Kelly retired? Once Jim Kelly retired, the Bills could not find another quarterback like Kelly, and it took them, 20 plus years to find a guy in Josh Allen that potentially could be better than Kelly when it's all said and done. The Bills would never do that, just because we may have another cycle of a 20-year gap where the Bills don't have a franchise quarterback, and we have another 17-year playoff drought. Don't want it.
Also, they traded Diggs. I know Diggs didn't want to play for the Bills, but still, you traded a big-time guy. You want to trade another big-time guy to rebuild. You guys are not in a state to rebuild. You guys are in a state to go up and, try to draft somebody that can actually help, instead of, taking away Josh Allen and then picking up whoever.
That's like saying the Cowboys are going to give away Dak.
Yeah.
And my dad is definitely watching this show and is cackling at me right now because he is a big Cowboys fan. And if I would have, anyways, not the point. Hi, Dad. But the Rams pick is in. What is the preview? Shay, what are you thinking for this pick? Alex?
Honestly, I'm just going to say a little bit about the Rams. I do think that losing Aaron Donald is tough for them, but last year I really liked them. I thought that I predicted them to be in the Super Bowl. I really liked their offense. I really like Kyron Williams. I'm a big fan of Matthew Stafford. So if they make the right moves in this offseason, I do think that they have a chance to be in the mix for a Super Bowl this year. When looking at this pick, I think that they do need to look at defense because of Aaron Donald. So it's going to be very interesting who they pick here. So.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't know if anyone watched some of the earlier shows,
but I think it was one of the first couple of shows back in February. I actually picked the Rams to make the Super Bowl. I'm really high on them. Aaron Donald retiring obviously hurts that, but I think if they can go defense heavy in this draft and they can get the right guys, they can have a draft like last year where they pulled out like 3 starters, a couple of stars like Puka and Kobe Turner. I think they could really catapult themselves into becoming a contender. And I think with this pick, they take Jared Verse. He's perfect replacement for Aaron Donald. They need pass rush now that he's gone, and he's the best defensive lineman left on the board. Maybe Johnny Newton, but I think they go Jared Verse here.
I think Jared Verse too.
Even that D tackle that
they have too is pretty good. I forgot his name. Kobe Turner. He's really, really good. Just to add somebody else onto that, like a D tackle, like Jared Verse, dude, you could have a versatile line that could do a lot of things: stop the run, rush the pass. You can do it all.
And speaking of a different verse, I'm gonna have to go on a different verse. I know.
That was good.
You know what?
That was good.
Figure it out, but you got that.
You know what? I've said this guy's name twice, and I already have 2 strikes. I might as well get back in the batter's box. And if I strike out with this one, I'm done. I'm going back to the dugout. Terrion Arnold. They got to take a corner at some point. Terrion Arnold. He's getting drafted.
They did get Tre'Davious White.
Here we go. 1 second. Sorry, Michael, not to cut you off.
No, you're fine. My mom can't first. Gotta be.
This is
Jared. I called that.
Good call.
Called that. Jared Verse at 19.
Good call.
Called that yesterday.
There we go.
Yeah, he did.
Jared Verse at 19. Let's go.
Hey,
what a wonderful
it's okay.
Pick.
You can use them again.
What a wonderful pick. They really need a defensive end. He was the best one available. Great pass rusher. I think that's a home run pick for the Rams there. Obviously, I think Deshaun's probably pretty happy in there. Is the local Rams fan? Yeah, we can hear him. He's very happy.
He's been waiting for this pick all day, and I congratulations, Deshaun. Let's talk about these Steelers. Now, I covered them for our Monday show, and I had Jackson Powers Johnson. What are we thinking? Like I
think now they go corner.
You think now they go corner? Why are we?
If
they go Arnold,
this is the time to go corner. I mean, last year I forgot who they drafted. Joey Porter Jr. He was pretty good, but you also need somebody else to really, help him out. So they'll definitely go corner. I think Mitchell.
Okay. Shay?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they went offensive line here.
Ooh, okay.
I'm looking at the Steelers statistics from last year. They were the league's second worst pass protection in the league. So I think that if they pick an offensive lineman here, I think that would benefit them a lot because they definitely need it. And they need to protect guys like Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, who are both mobile guys who can, whoever starts will, I think that an offensive tackle would be beneficial for them.
Yeah, I think offensive line is the smart
decision, or is the decision they're going to make. You can look at the receiver room and be like, it's awful. They just have George Pickens and no one else. So you could see them going Brian Thomas Jr., but you got to think of who their offensive coordinator is. It's Arthur Smith. He loves to run the ball. I don't think he knows what a pass play is. Look at him in Atlanta. He had a great running back duo, a good offensive line, one receiver and a tight end, and just ran it a bunch. What do they have in Pittsburgh? A good running back duo, a good tight end in Pat Freiermuth, and one receiver in George Pickens. So I expect them to go with Graham Barton or Jackson Powers Johnson because they want to play smash mouth football. That is Steelers football. Great defense, smash mouth football. They have Russ, who is good off play action, or Justin Fields if he wants to start. That read option game with Warren, Najee, and Justin Fields could be pretty electric. So personally, I hope it's Graham Barton because I have them taking Graham Barton in my mock. But Jackson Powers Johnson would also be a really good pick here.
I mean, we have Mark in the comment section saying, get Justin Fields help. I'm going to bring back a question that I believe Justin asked in the first segment that we had, this battle between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Who are we thinking, is going to start, and how will this pick affect that in a way, that chemistry and stuff on that field?
I think
Russ starts to start the year. They've already said that he is the starter. They also said that they're not going to be picking up Justin Fields' fifth-year option, so that confuses me a little bit. I thought that he was going to be their long-term guy, but maybe they're going to have Russ start at the beginning. I think by like halfway through the year, I think Russ doesn't play well, and I think Fields gets a shot. And I really think he could be decent in that offense. I don't think he's ever going to be no superstar. Obviously, that's why Chicago traded him for a bag of chips. But I think that he could be a very serviceable starter, and in the right situation like Pittsburgh with a great defense. Hopefully they build up that offensive line better. A couple of decent receivers and a great running back duo. And Arthur Smith, I think they could have one of the best rushing attacks in the league. And I think that could at least lead them to consistent playoff spots with how good the defense and coaching is.
And going over to the Steelers quarterback room, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, I think the best two traits of them throwing the football as their deep ball. Fields and Wilson both have very deep balls. That is the best trait of their throwing traits. And that's why I think they're going to draft Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy, he's a burner. I think that they want to try and fit the mold of Wilson and Fields while they have them in the quarterback room. And yes, Brian Thomas Jr. may be the better wide receiver to take, but when you have a guy like Xavier Worthy and the speed that he brings to your team and the quarterbacks that can throw the deep ball in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, I think you try to take a shot there with Worthy. You know how good the Steelers are at developing wide receivers, and I would trust Xavier Worthy under, supervision of Tomlin.
Well, the pick is in for the Steelers, and we're on commercial, so we're going to just give that a second. But we do have a question from the comments from Josh Wendell. Do you think Bo Nix beats out Zach Wilson in Denver? Shay, you jumped at the opportunity to answer that question. What are your thoughts?
First I'm going to say what's up, Josh. That's one of my brother's college roommates. So, and shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody in Kansas City right now. My brother commented. My mom commented. One of my brother's friends, Gabriel, commented. And Mark, obviously. I do think that Zach Wilson is going to be the starter in Denver. you've seen him play. He's not very special, but he is the guy that has NFL experience. I do think that he is going to be the guy at the start. And if the wheels start coming loose for Denver, I do think that Bo Nix will slide in easily. I think Bo Nix has a lot of talent to be a starter in this league, but I do think that this is Zach Wilson's spot to lose currently because of just the fact that he's just been in the league for longer and that he has the experience. I mean, he's worked under Rodgers. I do think that he has learned something from him. I mean, it didn't really look like it, but he did.
He learned how to get out.
Yeah.
He learned how to not tear his ACL in the first, or MCL, whatever he tore.
So I do think that Zach Wilson will be the starter currently. And also I do agree that throwing 5 interceptions in Lincoln, Nebraska for Josh Allen was not great for him. Shout out to the Cornhuskers,
Shea does know his ball.
The first time, even though they haven't been relevant in 15 years.
Right. Shea definitely knows his ball. Thank you, Shea. Thanks to Shea's family for interacting.
We encourage more people to interact. We love answering your guys' comments.
Please, definitely. Thank you to my dad who popped on, my sorority sisters that are watching. Thanks to all of our friends and family for really supporting this. This is the first ever time we're doing a special like this. Thanks to the guys here. I mean, I'm the only girl, unfortunately, but thanks to all the guys. Thank you to Alex for fueling my delusion of doing this tonight.
Yeah, no
and
problem.
Thanks to Steve and the BBA, the Buffalo State Communication Department. We are still waiting on the Steelers pick, so I'm doing all my little thank yous and stuff.
And also shout out Frank Colella, Buffalo State men's soccer.
There you go.
Right.
All right. Once again, the NFL is dragging out this pick because why not drag it out? Let's show videos of the fans because people at home definitely care about that. Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing the Steelers fans. I'm not a big Steelers fan myself.
Ooh, Sebastian's not going to be too happy.
I know that's my brother though, so he'll be fine. He'll live over there. We're still waiting on this. Roger Goodell, obviously nursing a back injury. It was told to the media earlier, so he's not hugging people as hard. But
He's on the
he got hugged real hard earlier, so he's up on the
an actor that's an actor?
I
kind of. That makes sense. At first I thought it was an actor, but yeah, I think that is.
Let's see what's gonna happen here.
Yeah, Cam Hayward. Yeah, him and TJ Watt together is scary.
Still going.
Yeah, I know. What is he, like 34 now? He's still producing at a high level.
He's been playing better later into the later years of his
career. He was not really
like Chris Jones as well, or Chandler Jones.
And Calais Campbell is the same way too.
Even Khalil Mack, 33 years old, coming off of
and a 5-sack game or 6-sack game or whatever it was.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what he says here. I like his suit, Michael.
Yeah, man.
Oh, he's Walter Payton.
For
He was actually a good guy too. He was Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Hey, man.
That suit was fire.
Yeah, I like the color of it.
I do too. Not a Steeler color though.
I feel like soon to be on the offensive line here.
I also do feel like it's offensive line.
Let's see if I go back to back.
That's it.
Let's see.
Is he worthy?
Oh, he's taking real long to see this one. Oh, we're hearing some screaming from our backstage area. Sebastian
likes it.
He saw it on Twitter.
Line because I think he wanted a line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sebastian's going to be on the next segment, so let's see how he feels about that.
Let's see how he feels about this.
Come on.
Yeah. All right. He is doing a real long season. This is that.
He's giving himself a stick.
There we go. Oh, Patano. The Steelers select from Washington. How are you feeling about that guy?
I think that's a really good pick. Most people thought he was going to go top 15. I think he's very versatile. He can play tackle. He can play guard. I think he's a steal there. I honestly forgot that he was still even available. That's honestly kind of crazy to me that they got him there. I think that's an A+ pick there.
He has been part of Mel's picks this entire time. He's been at the top, so I've been waiting to see where he would go. The Dolphins are now on the clock. This is a scary thing. For the last 2 minutes,
the Niners trading off.
This is a scary thing for us Bills. What do we think about this, Evan? The Dolphins. What's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Miami Dolphins have been a intriguing team over the past couple of seasons, adding guys like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, Jalen Ramsey last year. But they're probably going to look to go offensive or defensive line here. Obviously, Tua has been banged up a little bit. They lost a guy like Christian Wilkins. They lost Van Ginkel in free agency as well. So, again, I wouldn't be surprised if they went defensive lineman here And taking a look at that, I wouldn't be surprised if we went and got Darius Robinson out of Missouri. I mentioned they lost guys like Van Ginkel and Wilkins. Getting a guy like Darius Robinson to chase around quarterbacks like Josh Allen, Holmes, Lamar Jackson, Burrow, etc., TJ Stroud. See the quarterbacks leaving off of that's just the AFC in general. A ton of quarterbacks. If you're another team in the AFC like Miami, you want to make sure that your D line is talented to go up against these quarterbacks in the AFC. So I think they go Darius Robinson out of Missouri.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to cut us off because we are about done with this segment. Thank you guys for joining me. We have Evan, Shay, Michael, and Alex. You're gonna see the next set of guys come in with this Dolphins pick. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for supporting us tonight. And the pick is in for the Dolphins. So I don't know if we should wait on that one. I'm gonna
throw a curveball here. I feel like they're gonna pick Xavier Worthy.
That was just what I feel like they're
Is he worthy? Is he worthy?
That speed there would be insane.
All right, they're going to commercial, so we're gonna allow for our next segment to come on. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in a few minutes.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
How's your serve coming? I think we'll work on it this weekend.
Amy's slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. If you do...
Hi, Lauren. My name is Katie. We're gonna take care of you, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
You wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
I think they are. All right, folks, welcome back to the Buffalo Sports Insider NFL Draft Special. We are back here with the Miami Dolphins on the clock at number 21. Guys, what do you think about this pick?
I mean, we were talking about it here, before we just got back on air. But I think they have to go edge rusher here. And we talked about it a little bit, and I'll swing it over to you, Shay, in a second. But once again, before we went to break, I was talking about Darius Robinson. Once again, I talked about how Christian Wilkins and Van Ginkel went in free agency. Got to get a guy to get into the backfields of the other AFC opponents.
So, yeah, adding on to that, my pick here, it's kind of a rogue one. I do think that the Dolphins are going to be tempted by Xavier Worthy. I mean, he fits their offense perfectly. I mean, giving Tua another option, giving Tua another guy that he can throw a long ball to would just add on to the Tyreek Hill nightmare that every single team has to go through that plays against the Dolphins. I think Xavier Worthy fits in there perfect. I think that, he's rapid, broke the 40 time. And I do think that the Dolphins would benefit with him on the field. And I do think that they would be very tempted to pick him in this position because you don't know if he's going to be gone off the board soon.
Isaiah, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely see the temptation that Shay is talking about with Xavier Worthy. I mean, you have Raheem Mostert, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, some of the fastest people.
Devon Achane.
Yeah, Devon Achane, another person who can just dust you pretty much.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Shay on this one, and also Evan. I feel like they're going towards that edge rusher, more towards receiver, but definitely edge rusher definitely
be the biggest addition, definitely helping them out, or even a guard, an offensive guard. I can also see as well. So
yeah, I think they need some offensive line help. I mocked them.
Yeah,
Jalen or Tyler Guyton here, not Jalen Guyton.
I'm surprised that he hasn't been picked up low key yet.
And then we're looking at the big board here. Cooper DeJean, number 1 remaining prospect, the versatile safety out of Iowa, who could potentially play some corner. Graham Barton might be a good pick here. A lot of versatility there, playing tackle for Duke, but most likely coming to the league as a guard. And Quinyon Mitchell still on the board. A lot of people had him as the number 1 corner. Evan, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's interesting to see that not many corners, or no corners have been picked yet, right?
Yeah,
no
that's
corners,
true.
no corners have been picked yet, and
This could be a corner.
yes, this could be a corner indeed. And I mean, I talked about it earlier. I'm 0 for 3 on the pick. Terrion Arnold has not been drafted yet. Obviously, Quinion Mitchell, another top corner. Even Cooper DeJean, like we mentioned as well. Like
Kool-Aid.
yeah, Kool-Aid too. I mean, just there's a lot of corner talent still left here in the draft, and I'm just surprised that one team has not taken a flyer on a corner. It's interesting to see what these GMs see in the corners compared to wide receivers, offensive, defensive linemen, quarterbacks, obviously going 6 in the first 12. But something we're going to talk about, Justin, your mock draft.
Oh my God! I need to leave this. I need to leave this draft party and go to 7-Eleven and buy the nearest lotto ticket. I'm on a heater, guys. I've hit 14 out of 19 picks.
Pretty impressive.
That is very impressive. Let's see, Miami on the clock. Here we go. Bell talking to the podium. We have here. Chop Robinson.
That's a great pickup.
Okay. Chop Robinson, the bendy, speedy, athletic edge rusher from Penn State. Guys, give me your thoughts.
I honestly think it's a great pickup. Very versatile, very explosive off the ball. And not just a big Penn State fan, I feel like he's honestly going to dominate the past couple of edge rushers that they had recently. Just Penn State as a defense as a whole is just unstoppable in my opinion. So I feel like this is a great pick for them to go and choose a Penn State edge rusher.
Yeah, this is kind of just going with my pick. I had him going Darius Robinson, but Chop Robinson as well. Like you cannot go wrong here. They were kind of mocked, 29 and 30 in a lot of people's drafts as the top players on the big board. Again, getting a defensive end to fill the void of guys like Van Ginkel and Christian Wilkins heading out the door. Once again, this is an AFC conference that has a bunch of explosive quarterbacks that can run around, and you're going to want a guy with that 6'3" frame that Chop has to chop down those quarterbacks run around the back.
I love that. Shane, what do you think of the pick?
So yeah, I think it's a very good pick. I feel like with the proper development, I feel like he could be a top edge rusher in this league. I think that you could see it in college. He's very dominant, powerful guy. And I think that with more time, he has a chance to be a very top edge rusher in this league. And I feel like Miami has made a really good year.
Isaiah Chop Robinson, the third edge off the board. What are your thoughts?
You have another speedy athlete to join an already speedy team. I mean, I like the pick. I feel like an edge rusher was needed. Chop Robinson,
in my opinion, was the best edge rusher available. I had him going over Darius Robinson. A person who's very quick, has skill set and finessing, offensive tackles. I feel like he'll do just fine.
Yeah, bend is a rare trait in the NFL.
Chop Robinson certainly has that. Maybe not the strongest guy. I know there was concerns about his production in college. I think he had 2 sacks his final year with Penn State, which is a tad concerning, but obviously you see the traits. The film doesn't lie. The guy can bend the corner like no other in this draft. That's a good pick for Miami, who, they had aging pass rushers, so it's interesting. And now we have Philadelphia on the clock, and this is insane because Howie Roseman doesn't take corners in the first round. He has his pick at the top 2 in the draft. Evan, if you're Howie Roseman, what are you doing here?
I think you got to go corner, honestly. We saw the secondary issues that Philly dealt with last year, obviously in the playoffs as well, which, ended up them not getting back to the Super Bowl. But I think you got to go corner. And I don't know how many times I have to say this, and I might sound like a broken record here, but someone draft Terrion Arnold. He's the number 1 corner in the draft. Like, someone give him a chance.
Fallen a lot.
This guy deserves to be a first-round pick. And like you mentioned, Roseman doesn't like to take corners, but when you have a guy like Terrion Arnold or even Quinion Mitchell or even Cooper DeJean, like one of these guys have to be taken. And corner is the number 1 option for the Philadelphia Eagles in my eyes, and I think they have to go a corner here to help out that high-powered offense they have over in PA.
I want to take a second and talk about the Eagles because actually we've had
a number of extensions for the Eagles recently. We had Devontae Smith get an extension, Jordan Mailata got an extension, Landon Dickerson, and now as recent as today, A.J. Brown gets an extension. They signed Saquon Barkley in the offseason. Jalen Hurts gets the extension. There's like $500 million invested on the offense here. And I think they have that luxury because they've nailed on some defensive picks on the rookie contracts. Guys, what do you think of this?
Honestly, I think it's pretty good because at the end of the day, you also got to think of the other players they also acquired. They acquired an edge. They acquired Bryce Huff. They acquired safety Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They also acquired a linebacker, Devin White. But then you think of the players that they lost. Yeah, they lost DeAndre Swift, and they picked up Saquon. Great move. They got rid of Kevin Byard, and they got rid of Marcus Mariota. Now it's time for us to really pick up a corner. So I honestly think them picking up Cooper DeJean or Quinyon Mitchell would be the smartest move for them to honestly go and do, because they picked up the key players that they already needed it. And now these are the two key positions that they really can go for. So why not pick a corner?
Now it looks like we're getting ready to reveal the pick here. The pick is in. They just showed Nate Wiggins, the Clemson corner, who a lot of folks had dropping out of the first round due to weight concerns. I think this guy weighed in at 172 pounds at the combine.
They pulled a Ryan Garcia.
It's just funny. What do you guys think? Does weight matter on a corner? Do you guys think?
I feel like it matters on a wide receiver's release. I feel like if you're dealing with someone who has a tremendous release, for example, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, who's, like you said earlier in the show, has built a career on his technicality. I feel like him, I don't see him as an outside corner, in my opinion. I don't see him as someone who's going to be guarding a threat. I see him as somewhat of a slot corner who's speedy, can catch up with those slant routes, those drag routes.
Yeah, he flew at the combine. I think he ran 4.28.
Pretty good too, as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a defensive player, he tracks the ball pretty
And
well.
I will say he plays a little bit bigger than his weight. I mean, I've seen him play press man and kind of to a good degree there. Obviously, in the ACC against good teams, I think Nate Wiggins kind of deserves to be a first rounder. Maybe not right now, maybe a couple weeks later. What do you guys think of Nate Wiggins?
Yeah, I'm not comparing him to this player, but staying Buffalo-centric, you got a guy in Taron Johnson, right? Yeah. He's a smaller corner, plays a lot bigger than his size, and that's like you said with, Nate here. He has a little bit of weight to him. He's speedy, can get downhill, and if he can transform himself into an NFL, nickel corner in the slot, I think that's what he can base a career off of. And if he can play inside the box, there's a lot of teams that would love to have a nickel corner like the Buffalo Bills do in their slot corner in Taron Johnson, because that allows the Bills to run two linebacker sets. And that's kind of where the NFL is going these days. Yep. And teams love to run two linebacker sets only if they can have a guy that can play inside like the Buffalo Bills do in Taron Johnson.
Yeah. Looks like the pick is in here, guys. I think we're kind of getting a bit of that Emmanuel Forbes effect. He had a pretty poor rookie season at sub 170. I think teams are scared of drafting a corner that weighs that little. However, Roger Goodell is taking the podium. Yeah, it is. I mean, Howie Roseman, notoriously good drafter. Let's see, he's nailed a bunch of picks in the past. Did not have to move up for a corner as he has his pick at the litter. Let's see what it is.
You guys think it might be?
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be DeJean.
It's got to be Arnold. Don't got that.
Quinny. Hey, we always want
I think it's Arnold.
You never know.
Dude, what is he yapping about? Let's go.
That's what I'm saying. Well, Brian Thomas Jr. still available.
He's just thanking everyone for being here.
He's going over his whole little speech.
I see Brian Thomas going.
All right, everyone start booing him. Boo.
Hey, we got to get Roger Goodell credit. He's on the IR right now. He's out here.
Yeah, I saw that back surgery. Has he been hugged? Today?
I've seen a few dap ups.
He's definitely been hugged.
Caleb came in with force, man. Came in with dap up.
Oh, that's what he came with.
Roger's like,
City of Brotherly Love. Here we go. Philadelphia. I think it's not DeJean because he's a little close to Gardner Johnson.
Yeah, I don't see the Eagles going to DeJean.
Dude, he's really reading the Declaration of Independence right now.
Whoa.
Their defense is
he's reading the terms and conditions of his NFL contract. He's just reading the terms and conditions of the contract that someone's gonna have to sign.
Oh, Joe Mayotta, new rich man. I think he got like 100-something million.
Well, hopefully he sings it. He's a good singer.
Former rugby player. Quinyon?
Honestly, great.
Wow. Talk about value for Howie Roseman. Quinyon Mitchell, the number one corner off the board. This guy came in, probably had the best draft offseason of any prospect in this draft. Crushed the Senior Bowl, crushed the Combine, crushed his interviews, and here he is, number 23 overall to the Eagles. Guys, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, getting the number one corner in the draft, and you're a Super Bowl contender, the Philadelphia Eagles. If you're Howie Roseman, you just got to be sitting back comfortable. You got your recliner up on your chair, and your night one is good because you got your guy in Mitchell. Once again, this is a Super Bowl contending team that got a cost-controlled number one corner in the draft.
He keeps getting away with it. He just keeps getting away with it.
A+ pick here for the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, I hate to admit it, but you got to give your flowers to Howie Roseman in that management for the Eagles. And they nailed it.
They're trying to get younger at that position as Darius Slay and James Bradbury both get better in age. I mean, yeah, this guy's a freak athlete. He ran, I think,
4.33.
Yep, 4.33. I think the reason he fell, guys, is his question of level of competition. Toledo, obviously, the MAC, not very good. Notoriously good. Playing some stooges like UB. But this guy's played a lot of that soft man coverage. I think he can thrive in a zone coverage scheme as well. But now this has to be one of the better secondaries in the league, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Philadelphia obviously made some smart business with the guys that they picked up, and I think obviously the contract extensions have been very vital for their team. They did underperform in the playoffs last year. I personally thought that they were going to go pretty far. I didn't think that they were a Super Bowl team yet after seeing some of their losses towards the end of the year. But I do think that making this pick, making their secondary a bit better, I do think that the Eagles are on the right track to be a Super Bowl contender next year. I do think that they have a chance of making it.
I mean, just look at the names on the roster, guys.
Yeah,
it's like I mean, I kid you not, Saquon Barkley may run for 1,800 yards. If he doesn't get hurt.
He might have the best season of his career.
He's just got to stay healthy. He's just got to stay healthy.
Got to stay healthy.
It's going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, I think with the Giants last year, you know, obviously they weren't great. So, you know, it's very hard for him to pick up the slack. But I do think that this Eagles team is very well-rounded. And I do think with a running back of his quality, I do think that he's going to wreak havoc in the league next year, 100%.
And now we have the Jaguars at pick 23, it seems like. Guys, I've heard a lot of Brian Thomas Jr. hype to the Jaguars. I heard they wanted to move up for a receiver, potentially Malik Neighbors. Didn't end up happening. They actually moved back to 23 from 17. What do we think this pick is, guys?
I've been seeing the Brian Thomas hype, and I'm gonna ride the train. I feel like Brian Thomas is definitely a wide receiver I see fitting in this system. I see Trevor Lawrence needing another wideout in that wide receiver room. I don't think their offense is quite I don't think it's quite I don't think the offense is where it should be, especially when you literally put your bank on every buck for Trevor Lawrence a couple of drafts ago. I feel like you have to put help around him. I mean, you could go tackle and protect the guy, but I feel like wide receiver here is the best option. If not, maybe corner.
Yeah, I think it's got to be some sort of offense, right? The Jaguars have been rumored to be on offense kind of this whole offseason. They pick up, obviously, Gabe Davis from the Bills will kind of play that C role or whatever for the Jaguars. They were in on re-signing Calvin Ridley. Obviously, he opted to sign with the Titans for more money. Could this be an Xavier Worthy? We really don't know. Ab, what do you think?
Yeah, I honestly think that the Jaguars might go corner here. They signed Ronald Darby in the offseason. They have Mason Campbell opposite of him. But I think that you would like to get another corner that could pair up.
Go ahead, beat the drum one more time.
Outside Tyson Campbell, this is just a drum that's being played. And I'm getting booed here probably by my music is just not right here for the viewer. But I think you got to go carry on Arnold.
Yeah.
I mean, I sound like a broken record here.
Now that you say that, I kind of
agree with you.
I'm rooting for Terry on Arnold.
I agree.
You might have to.
I mean, Jaguars obviously traded back because they saw that the other teams weren't going to pick the position that they wanted. So, I mean, wide receiver or cornerback have been, there hasn't been a lot. Wide receiver hasn't been picked for a while. Cornerback is just starting to get picked. So I do think it's going to be a wide receiver or a cornerback. And you know what? Terry on Arnold. That's who it's going to be.
Okay. I honestly feel like it's going to be a cornerback, especially after switching back. And you think about it, they picked up Gabe Davis. They don't need really an O-lineman after they just picked up center Mitch Morse. They picked up Ronald Darby. So it's like, and they also picked up Devin Duvernay. So it's like, honestly, I feel like it's going pretty smooth on the receiver room. Honestly, O-line room be good. Just the DB rooms really needs to get better.
Man, it's funny you say that. Ronald Darby, 2015 second-round pick for the Bills. I remember when they traded out of that first round. Ronald Darby at pick 50. I always liked him. He's going to be pretty good NFL pro here. It looks like the Jaguars are getting ready to announce their pick here. Final guesses. We We've got Terrion Arnold as a favorite. Okay.
I feel like the nickel corner that he can be similar to what Jalen Ramsey is.
Okay.
Yeah, I see incorporated.
Bolster that defense. They've got a good pass rushing.
Brian Thomas is off the board.
Wow.
There it is.
Sorry to the Bills. Sorry to you, Bills fans.
Folks, the writing was on the wall. These guys were threatening to trade up for a receiver. I heard threats about Brock Bowers. They end up with Brian Thomas at 23. Immediate reactions, guys. I know some folks are hurt in this room. How do we feel?
This is the guy that not only did the Buffalo Bills want, but over here in my left, the Chiefs fan, they wanted him. And I mean, here you are. You got a guy, Brian Thomas Jr., or receiver off the board, and he has a chance to be a wide receiver one of these. And you're pairing him up with a franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, and I think if you're Jacksonville, you have to pick up. Obviously, I thought they were going to go corner. Terrion Arnold, see you another day, but they will be back one day, hopefully. But yeah, you get your guy in Brian Thomas Jr., and you can't complain if you're Jacksonville.
Now, let me pose the question.
I could be wrong here. Is Brian Thomas Jr.'s game kind of redundant to Gabe Davis's role as kind of a vertical threat?
I think I feel like Thomas is a little more explosive.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I feel like Thomas is a little more explosive, and in terms of hands, I would lean a little more towards Thomas, in my opinion. I feel like Thomas has better hands than Gabe Davis, but I'm not mad at the pick.
This offense can be fun.
Like
He's also good off the press.
Yeah,
as well.
like I said, like Trevor Lawrence,
burners.
you're gonna have to give him help eventually. So
Plus, I think Brian Thomas Jr. also is just a better overall wide receiver. I think he's more technical. With Gabe Davis, they called him John Cena has the 5 moves to doom.
Yeah.
You only can do 5 moves, and I really think Gabe Davis can only run 3 routes.
3 routes of death.
Yeah, right. Pretty much 3 for 3. He can only run the same 3 routes, for instance, and that's what the knock on Gabe Davis was. And I don't think you have that with Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. is just more than the 5 moves of doom. He's the 25 moves of doom. I think he can do a lot as a wide receiver, and compared to Gabe Davis, I think again they are kind of similar, but I think Brian Thomas Jr. is above Davis in his projection.
They got some talent on that offense, man. Brian Thomas, obviously Gabe Davis, Travis Etienne,
and what's his name? Christian Kirk.
Zay Jones, Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram. Like,
I forgot about that one right there.
This is a fun offense, guys. And I think now we'll see if Trevor Lawrence is a fraud, right? Because there is so much talent around him that if he does manage to screw this up, the jury might be out. That 2021 draft class might be cooked, pal, because he's the last guy remaining. Everyone else got traded. Zach Wilson just got the boot.
And the chef wasn't Gordon Ramsay. I might have been that draft.
Yeah. I don't know, but now we got Dallas come on.
And I think unanimously it's been O-line here at 25. I had them taking, or 24 rather. I had them taking Graham Barton, the versatile tackle out of Duke, who will probably play center. The Cowboys lost Tyler Biadasz to the Commanders in the offseason. I just feel like it's a seamless fit. If there were better running backs in this draft, I think that would be a good spot, but I think running back won't be touched until the late second. What do we think, guys?
Yeah, I think Dallas is going to have to go offensive lineman here. Like you mentioned, running back is probably the second position that they need to address in this draft. But like you mentioned, the running backs just aren't worth taking first round value on. And I'm not a fan of taking a running back in the first round. If there's a top end running back to take, then sure, grab. But there's just not one for Dallas to grab here. And I think it's got to be an offensive lineman. Right now, I don't have one zoned in, but anywhere on the line that they can help protect Dak Prescott and help that passing attack with CeeDee Lamb and others, I think they have to take a lineman here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do think offensive line is what the Cowboys are going to pick. I do think there's a lot of good prospects out there still. Tyler Guyton's still out there. Yeah. And I do think that losing Tony Pollard is going to be a loss for them. But I do, again, not a really eye-popping running back in this draft this year. So I do think that offensive tackle is the safe bet for them. Offensive line, anywhere on that line to protect Dak Prescott. And I do think that's where the Cowboys are going to go.
Now, we've seen Dallas go off the board in recent years.
And I'm just posing this as a complete hypothetical, knowing the madman that Jerry Jones is. There are 2 absolutely electric wide receivers in his backyard right there at Texas available on the board. They lost Michael Gallup in the
I
offseason.
would not be surprised if they went for a guy like Adonai Mitchell or Xavier Worthy. I do think that Adonai Mitchell's a better wide receiver, but I think Xavier Worthy's speed just makes up for a lot of it. I just think that he's electric, and I want someone to pick him. I want Kansas City to pick him, but at the same time, I don't. But I do think that he would be a good first-round pick for a team that needs a guy like that because, we got Hollywood Brown. I think that he would fit the Cowboys offense well. I do think if you have a guy, a good wide receiver with good hands and has great speed like he does, I think that he would be dangerous for the Cowboys.
Sebastian, what do you think? Cowboys at 24.
Oh. I say they go for an O lineman. I'm kind of agreeing with Shay on that part with taking Tyler Guyton just because they need somebody to help protect Dak Prescott. I also don't think that they need to really take a running back, but also taking a receiver with Texas being right in their back door is another thing as well. So it's pretty tough for this one right now.
Now, did you just say they don't need a running back? Are you trusting 5'5" small person Deuce Vaughn to be the RB1 in Dallas?
I can see it right now.
He's a good
They
player.
don't need a running back as of first round. They can wait. If they do take a running back, they can wait.
It would
It
be later.
It has to be a later round.
Elliott is still out there. There's been a lot of I know you. No. Say what you want about Ezekiel Elliott. Is he a starter in this league nowadays? No. But is he still a viable running back to have in your back room? In your running back room?
Yeah.
He honestly, he might still be the best blocking running back in football, and he can still run in between the tackles well. And I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas brought him back in, paired him up with Deuce Vaughn. Is it Buffalo?
It's crazy. You said that. I've definitely seen Cowboys trade it back.
Detroit.
Little hometown trade.
Okay, I think this should be a corner.
I like Cooper here.
Terrion Arnold.
Dude, Cooper totally makes sense, man.
Yeah, it does.
You got Branch. You got Branch, one of the best.
They lost
shots.
They just lost Chauncey, man. That's the same kind of player.
Yeah, they only picked up Carlton Davis, so.
Wow, this is
Maybe that Terrion Arnold guy.
They got to meet Robinson.
I'm buying his jersey wherever he goes.
If Cooper DeJean falls to the Bills, what a Bills pick that would be. I feel like it might happen.
It's possible.
Loki's scaring me.
Well, they took a corner 2 years ago. Might as well.
Double down, right? Okay, well, the Lions pick is in. Dallas moved back. Maybe they think they can grab an offensive lineman or potentially a receiver down the board a little bit. The commissioner is taking the stage.
Coming up next.
I know. Ooh, Green Bay. Dude, Loki, I don't.
I think 100% they need to.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see it. Zach Tom played a pretty good tackle back there last year, but I had Cooper DeJean going to the Packers, so I guess we'll see. I'm surprised he hasn't gone yet. I think he's a pretty good prospect here, but Lions still waiting for the pick in Detroit. This place is absolutely electric, by the way, kind of rivaling that Nashville draft. A lot of folks here are waiting to see who the Lions will pick in Detroit. I thought you guys did you guys see Eminem out there earlier? He was out there. That's hilarious.
They better not disappoint in Detroit.
No, they can't.
They can't.
Oh, I love that. That was perfect. Perfect drop.
With the,
Yeah, they got that referee.
I got it. Don't worry. It's good stuff.
So who's left on the board outside of the main names? Let's take a look here.
Well, speaking of the main names, it must not be Terrion Arnold because he's not a main name.
He's still there.
He is still there. The line, no, it could be Terrion, man.
I'm curious right now.
They need a corner in Detroit.
I see a secondary.
Cody Goffington.
Whoever thought that was
Dude,
should just not.
You know who else I think should have been off the board by now is Johnny Newton. I think he's so good, man. His tape was crazy against Wisconsin.
I see him going to Tampa Bay probably.
Okay, yeah. Tampa Bay needs a pass rusher, so that's
smart move.
That would be nice. I also wouldn't rule out pass rusher here as well, though, because the Lions, outside of Aiden Hutchinson and Aleem McNeil, they didn't have much. You obviously know Detroit, Campbell and MCDC. Oh, someone's on the phone here. Who is that?
Arnold.
Might be your time, Ev.
Okay, Ev.
Bang that drum. I like his suit. Look at that.
And I'm buying his jersey after this draft.
Lions. Terrion Arnold.
Arnold's Lions jersey.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't gone off. I mean, this is insane value for whoever picks him up at this point because,
I had him being mine.
Alabama corner, often touted as CB1 in this draft. Very physical. Played against the best, obviously, in the SEC. Maybe match up against former teammate Jameson Williams here, potentially, if he lands with the Lions. a lot of speed on that offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown gets the extension. Highest paid receiver per year now in the NFL. Penei Sewell becomes the highest paid tackle. They're dealing out money left and right. I mean, honestly, Jared Goff could probably use an extension soon as well if they opt to do that. Remember when that trade happened? A lot of people, Jared Goff, thought he was going to be a bridge quarterback. Yeah, he's been playing some good ball.
He is a good football player. And I think the long thing here with Jared Goff is he never really got the respect I think he deserved.
Yeah.
Because back in 2018, when the Rams did make that Super Bowl, Jared Goff got no credit. And a lot of it was, that Rams team was really good, and Jared Goff wasn't the moving piece of that team. You got a guy like Todd Gurley back there and the other receivers. But now we saw Goff doing great things here for Detroit and getting the respect he deserves.
Dude, Detroit quickly became a powerhouse. Like
Quickly.
Oh my God, top down, it's insane.
Dan Campbell, got to give credit to the coach, man. It all starts on top.
Dan Campbell was the interim head coach for the Dolphins. That was like 2015.
He's got me wanting to run through walls.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's an inspiring guy. Yeah.
Shredded book.
Bro's idol was Sean McDermott. No.
Guys like that should start a podcast.
But I do think that Stafford going to the Rams and Goff going to the Lions, I think it benefited both of them. Honestly,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that the Lions are now becoming that team that they want to be, and the Rams already have a Super Bowl ring. So I do think it was a good trade. I think it was the right move for both of them.
Pick 24. Goodell comes up with some guests. The pig is being announced. Detroit Lions will select. Terrion Arnold! Clap it up for Ev. All right.
Honestly, this isn't a bad pick.
That's a great pick.
He's fast. He's agile. He can match up with other receivers for quick.
Wow. These corners really 20s here. Ev, I need your reaction.
It's about time. It is about time. Terrion Arnold, in my opinion, he was the best corner in this draft, and he's going to a very good football team in the Detroit Lions. And we know how high-powered their offense is, but they got a guy in defense that they can work with.
Yeah, this is potentially a franchise cornerstone here with Terrion Arnold in the secondary. We're going to take a quick break before the next pick comes up. Green Bay at 25. It'll be interesting to see where they go. Stick with us. We'll be back in a few.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
And how's your serve coming along?
Not so good.
I think we should work on it this weekend.
Amy's birthday bash slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
How's your serve coming? I think we'll work on it this weekend.
Amy's slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. If you do.
I'm not a big Worthy guy.
I would really honestly got moved back.
Johnny Newton, I would love him.
Hi, Lauren. My name is Katie. We're gonna take care of you, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
You wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Buffalo Sports Insider for our likely final segment. Here's the Buffalo pick is getting closer and closer. The Green Bay Packers are on the clock. Technically, the pick is in. So, guys, what are we thinking for this pick for the Green Bay Packers as we near the announcement of their selection?
So yeah, I said it earlier in the last segment. I do think they need to protect Jordan Love. There's a lot of good prospects out there still, and their offensive line has struggled a bit. They're down in the rankings on that. So I do think that the Packers are going to look to strengthen up that offensive line, and that's what I think they're going to pick here.
Yeah, I agree. Decision would be to go.
You get JPJ or Graham Barton, someone like that, or even maybe take a swing on like a Tyler Guyton if you really want to tackle. But you know how the Packers draft. They don't really like to draft too much offense in the first round. So I expect they're probably going to go with like a Cooper DeJean or a Nate Wiggins. I'm expecting a corner here because you know how much they like to draft defense in the first round. And then day 2 is when they fill up their offense with a lot of like questionable guys that they hope that they can develop.
Yeah, my early vote is Cooper DeJean. I think they lost Darnell Savage in free agency, so that the need for safety is there. It depends if they trust his hips. We know they're a little stiff, but the versatility is there, guys. I think you can play nickel, get a little testy outside, but safety, I think, is where the league views him mostly. What do you think, guys?
I really think that's really the pick here. It's got to be a corner or a safety here. I really think the corner number 2 is a big question mark for the Green Bay Packers. Having Jair Alexander is a great thing, yeah. And signing Xavier McKinney, I have no problems with, but they really do need another safety on the other side. Losing Savage, as you mentioned, Justin. I really think that this is going to be the pick.
I think they go linebacker, honestly.
Peyton Wilson?
Edgerrin Cooper is available, and they do need an athletic linebacker for new defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley's scheme. And when you have a guy like Edgerrin Cooper there out of Texas A&M still available, he was kind of mocked on big boards around the mid-20s in many people's eyes. I think Edgerrin Cooper may be the pick here for the Packers.
I think they might be able to get Edgerrin Cooper in the second round, though. That's the thing, is especially linebacker being such a low positional value and off-ball linebacker, and being so weak.
I think they could wait to the second round, and if they really want him, they could maybe trade up in the second round. But I think taking a first-round linebacker would be very, 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 very dumb by them. I think you either got to go corner or offensive lineman, and I think if you're going corner, you go DeJean, and then you just move him to safety. And him and McKinney could be the best safety duo in the league. To that back end, which you hear as a corner, that could be one of the best secondaries in the league. And they obviously have a good pass rush, Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, and guys like that. So I think that could be a really good defense if they shore up that hole with DeJean.
All of this without mentioning the deep tackle class for the Green Bay Packers. There's a lot of really good names down the list. Patrick Paul's falling out of the third round, once viewed as a first-round pick. There's a lot that can go there as we get ready for this pick, just moments away from the announcement.
I think Patrick Paul would be a good spot. The 49ers in the first round.
I feel like that might be Graham Barton's selection right now. I mean, he's falling down the list. Graham is falling.
I think the Niners go tackle, and Graham's more of an interior guy.
Maybe Graham goes to Dallas there. Maybe that's the thought process about moving back.
I had the Niners trading off for Furtado. I think they really do need to get a tackle because I think Trent Williams right now is the only good offensive lineman on that team. I think you get another tackle, and it really solidifies that right side because it's basically just have everything go to the left side. And even though it works pretty well, eventually he's going to slow down and teams are going to adjust to it somewhat. If you can blow up to the right side, it really limits their offense. I think they get a right tackle and they can run it to either side. I think that offense that is already elite can take another level.
Yeah, you don't want to keep trotting out Colton McKivitz out there. Right
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
The pick is in. Looks like Commissioner Goodell's going to be taking the stage here real quick. Hope you guys are staying good with us. It is 11-11. The Bills still haven't picked. We kind of expected this.
That's the only bad part about us being so good is draft night takes forever. I remember the days when we were drafting at 9:30. It was like, I can go to bed now.
Relax. Oliver 9. Okay. All right.
I remember back in the day when the Chiefs had the first pick.
No, the Eric Fisher.
Central Michigan.
2013. That was a historically bad class that
year. Did he work out? I mean, he was our starter for
Jordan Morgan.
Offensive tackle Jordan Morgan out of Arizona is the pick here. I really do like the fit to get a tackle, but at the same time, I feel like you could have waited. This is a deep class, and I mean, you lost David Bakhtiari, so they do need that, but we'll see.
Man, how many tackles have gone in the first round at this point?
There's been a lot, and there's still a ton of other guys that are still on that board. I mean, you got Fashanu, Fuaga, Latham, Joe Alt, even all these guys off the board. There's been so many.
I mean, they're just going down.
Speaking of which, the next pick, the Buccaneers are locked in. Buccaneers pick is in. I think that the DeJean pick would make a lot of sense for them as they traded Carlton Davis to the Lions earlier this offseason. Maybe a different corner, too.
I think it's definitely corner, though. I think they had their sights on a guy, and with only Mitchell and Arnold gone, I think it's definitely easily going to be a corner here. I think they probably had a list of guys, and maybe those two are gone. And like, all right,
if he's available, no questions asked. We're taking this guy. Obviously, not a lot of corners are available, so I think it's probably DeJean. I could see maybe a Nate Wiggins, maybe a Kool-Aid, maybe a Rakestraw, maybe a Sandstrill, but I would be pretty surprised if they don't take corner with this pick.
You mentioned one of my favorite prospects, Mikey Sainristil from
I
Michigan.
love that guy for a long time now. I really think he might be one of the best value picks in the second round. I really think that could be a phenomenal move for them, and we'll have to see. And then we'll figure out how it goes from there.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the corners, I mean, Cooper DeJean may be the guy to go here. Obviously, you mentioned, Nate Wiggins. But I think DeJean is the guy to go here. Obviously, it's be a big pickup here for the Buccaneers. As the Bucs are in an interesting spot right now. Obviously, they bring in Baker Mayfield on the contract that they gave him, and they're kind of in that bridge spot right now where they don't have the super young quarterback. They're not really rebuilding. They're still kind of in that phase just that Tom Brady left them in, because they're still kind of riding high from the wave that they won the Super Bowl just a few years ago, and they're just trying to ride it out with their Mike Evans, their Chris Godwins. Levante David's still there. They're trying to ride it out with the guys they still have. And I think they're going to pick a corner here in Cooper DeJean that try to help them out, stand that little high that they're on.
Yeah, I do think that the Buccaneers are obviously a playoff team. I do think that they're a team that can get into the playoffs every year. And I think that they do need a cornerback, and I do think that DeJean is the right pick here for them. I think strengthening up that secondary is going to be very important for them.
NFC's getting loaded over there, fellas. I mean, you got the Lions, you got the Niners, Eagles, Cowboys, the Seahawks, if they can rebound even. Of course, the Niners, the Packers, even the Rams are in there. You got so many teams. And then, of course, as you just mentioned, being on the clock now, the Buccaneers, too. There's so many teams to go around with just a weak conference a couple of years ago. I mean, it was either Eagles or 49ers every year, we thought, and here we are.
It's still kind of weak. They're nothing compared to the AFC. They
don't have the quarterbacks in the AFC. Basically, every division, now that the Patriots have Drake May, every division has at least two, I think, will be bona fide top 10 quarterbacks. I mean, the West with Herbert and Mahomes, the North with and I mean, yeah, there could be more that develops. And then obviously the North with Burrow and Lamar, the South with Stroud. I think Richardson's going to be an absolute beast. T-Law's still really good. I think Will Levis develops. And then Tua's all right. The Jets have Rodgers, but who knows what's after that. But then obviously the Bills, Josh Allen, and I think Drake May is going to be an absolute stud. So, I mean, yeah, the NFC is getting better, but they don't compare to the AFC. But
I didn't mention Lamar or Burrow.
I did say that.
Did you?
Yeah, if you listen to me, one quick thing
I was thinking about is
Powers Johnson and Graham Barton are still available. Ryan Jensen retired. They need a center. If they don't go corner, it's one of those two. And honestly, now that I think that honestly might be possession or value wise. I think that might be a little bit better.
Maybe get Sanders still in the second. Who knows?
Or maybe TJ Tampa.
TJ Tampa goes to Tampa. Tampa 2 defense.
Right, Justin, you talked about your draft earlier, your mock draft.
Yep.
We talked about at one point you were 13-19 on your picks being selected. You were shooting around 60%, maybe a little bit better than Steph Curry. Are you still shooting better?
Ooh, it's cooled down. Personally, I think I'm
He's turning into Embiid in the playoffs.
Actually, the funny thing is, I think I'm still 50%. 13 for 26, which
not bad.
Is my
seven
best
straight.
This is my best hit rate I've ever mocked, and I've been mocking for probably close to a decade now.
All right, guys.
But
Let's have a little game here. Does Justin get over or under half of the selections right?
I think I'm going over.
I'm
going over. I think I'm going over.
My mock's actually screwed.
I think I've gotten 4 picks right, and then I got 1 pick out of position. I had Denver taking Bo Nix. I just had them trading down to 20. I had them trading down to 22 and getting Nix. I really thought they were going to go Nix, but besides that, Caleb at 1, Marv at 4, and Neighbors at 6, and then Verse at 19. I think I had a little bit of wishful thinking with the Bills going and getting Odunze, and a wishful thinking that the Commanders weren't going to screw up and take Jaden Daniels, but they did. I had them taking Drake May, which is the right decision, but it's the Commanders, so of course they took the wrong decision.
I got to pose a question, guys. We are now about a pick away because the Buccaneers pick is in. With the remaining receivers on the board, what's the pick, guys?
I don't know if this is a receiver here. Honestly, I think he could trade up the second round to get Leggett. I think he could fall if the Chiefs over there, Mr. Shayward, if they do not snag him. I do indeed see him falling to the second round. On top of that, I do think the Bills have that second round pick of their own next year. They could definitely use that as ammo to move up if that's something they want to do. And then maybe take a Jackson Powers Johnson, or if Cooper DeJean's still there, maybe take a Cooper DeJean. I really think that we could use that safety or even that corner back realistically, or even the offensive line, put Jackson Powers Johnson at center, move McGovern back to guard, like me and Miley were talking about. There's a lot of things that can happen for the Bills. If they do actually pick a receiver, I think my favorite one that's still on the board is either Leggett or Adonai Mitchell.
Yeah, for me, I actually, at this point, with Brian Thomas Jr. being gone,
and Johnny Newton still being available, I think he's talent-wise, I think he's a top 10, top 15 player in this class. I think he's an absolute beast. You take him, pair him next to Ed Oliver, oh my God, that could be deadly for the next 5 years. That's always been the weakness of the Bills' defense. Their D-line been kind of weak, but they made up for it with a great secondary, but they always struggled to stop the run, and that kind of hurt them in the playoffs a little bit. Now you still have a good secondary, you still have good linebackers, and now you shore up that D-tackle spot. You have Eddie on one side as the 3-tech, and Johnny is the 1-tech. Oh, yeah, that could be scary for the next 5 to 10 years.
That would be scary.
Buccaneers, Nick.
Let's see. They need defense.
Yeah, or
100%.
Interior O-line or defense.
Graham
Barton, yep.
Right,
The Ryan.
Out of Duke going
Dallas
here.
is sick.
I like that.
Wow.
I'm sure the Cowboys are throwing up.
Well, they can still get JPJ, so they're probably not. Or Arizona, who needs basically everything but quarterback and wide receiver 1 and tight end. They are terrible, so they need basically anything. But that makes sense. Ryan Jensen, who was an All-Pro, retired. They have a hole at center.
Wow, the
They
pick is
fill it right
already in for the Cardinals, by the way, folks. That was very quick. So the Bills are now on the clock officially. Wow.
This is what
I think
They're waiting 3 hours for this.
if they trade out, I swear.
The Bills trade back to 30. Stay on the air, folks, please.
That wouldn't be mad.
You might if we waited all that way for us to trade back, I may shed a tear.
Personally, I would love it if the Chiefs and Bills swap picks right now.
Well, yeah.
A little bit of reverse 2017.
It's a little reverse 2017.
I mean, if you give us a third and then just don't take the receiver we want, sure.
Exactly.
We have a deal. Give us a third, just don't take the guy we want.
Hey, honestly, the Chiefs should give Buffalo a couple first-round draft picks. We gave them Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
We gave you guys
those separations for tormenting us. Yeah.
We got Tre'Davious White, Allen, and Evans.
No, it wasn't Allen. It was Dawkins.
Well, we traded the second round pick they gave us to move up for.
No, it was 2 firsts and a third,
Oh,
and it was Edmonds, Dawkins, and Trey White. That's what we got.
He is right.
I think we got the better of that.
Oh,
no. We got the snowman. You disrespected the snowman?
I am.
Wow.
Has been injury prone. Cardinals pick is already ready.
Cooper DeJean.
Do they go for another wide receiver?
I would want that.
I mean, honestly, when you go for another wide receiver, I think they should.
Who's the wide receiver too? I think this is. I'm gonna say this is Jerzon Newton. Darius Robinson, out of Missouri, and the Bills are on the clock.
Hey, talk about fashion. We had Deanna in here talking about fashion earlier. Look at Darius Robinson.
Is he wearing a 90s rug?
Yeah, he's straight from the.
It looks like a rug this man had that wine spilled
All
on
you
the
gotta do
line.
is put a giant afro on and some roller skates, and you got him right in the 80s with that disco dancing.
That's funny. All right.
Bills have 3 minutes and 54 seconds counting down on the clock.
It's got to be wide receiver. Let me pose a hypothetical. What if Carolina wanted to move up for a receiver? Would you move back 5 spots with them?
Yes. If we did, would they give us at least their third? Because then we have 3 picks.
You know what?
Well, no, we'd have 33, we have 60, and then what would that be like 66 or 65? So
yeah, something like that.
And that would not be bad to move back 5 spots, pick up a top 70 pick.
If the Bills really need a wide receiver, like there's 5 guys you can be picked in the first round right now, and trading back wouldn't be the worst thing. I think that
I don't think every team takes a receiver either. So,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly. So
especially with a guy like Jackson Powers Johnson on the board.
I think the only team right now who's really wants a wide receiver in this first round are the Chiefs, and they could even trade back. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs traded back.
3 minutes left on the Buffalo Bills. They still have not chosen, so maybe this is a trade back.
Here is the thing with the Buffalo Bills and why I don't think they should trade back.
You never give a leg up to Kansas City. That is the one thing that Brandon Beane.
You never give a leg up to Kansas City.
You never, right? You never want to give the
Coming out
advantage
of
to
all
Kansas
night.
City. We've seen what they've been able to do in the playoffs against us the last few years.
We were thinking it.
The next thing you want to get, have them get is the receiver that you wanted because you traded back a few picks. I don't think you just give Kansas City the option to take the receiver you can get. I don't think you do it.
I think Kansas City loves Adonai Mitchell, by the way. I don't know.
The Bills and Kansas City run a very similar offense. The way that they have two quarterbacks that are very similar. The receiver that the Bills are going to take are probably the same receiver that the Chiefs are going to take.
By the way, the Bills are down in 2 minutes and 7 seconds still without picking.
What if we trade down to 33 to get that third, and then you trade back up to 31 just to jump the Chiefs, and you give up like a fifth or something?
It's tactics right there. That's good tactics.
That would be funny.
This isn't franchise mode.
And I'm good in franchise mode. I cook in franchise mode.
I think this is the first draft in a while that everyone in the green room has been drafted in the first round. Usually there's a cam on a guy who didn't go. I thought it'd be Darius Rush.
I thought Johnny Newman.
Let's see, we got here.
Was he in it?
Caleb Dallas, Brian, Darius Rome, Malik Quinion, Drake, Leon, Marvin, Jaden.
Those are
Wasn't
still
Will Levis the guy? Wasn't Will Levis the guy?
Yeah, Will Levis.
Yeah, Will Levis was the guy who got dropped.
Is this the lowest the clock has been?
No.
In a long time, yes.
Imagine we just don't set our pick in and we just forward the pick.
Big Baller is definitely on the phone right now.
He's cooking something.
Let's take a punt. We got it. Right here. We're gonna need him.
We got a comment.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
my gosh.
Yeah.
No way.
They trade back to KC. Dude, right? I wanted them to do that.
Why are we trading to the Chiefs? This doesn't end well. This never ends well. Why are we? Wow. We want to trade away a Hall of Fame receiver because that's what happens when we trade with the Chiefs. Why are we doing this? Any other team but the Chiefs.
Now we're gonna have to stay here.
Adonai Mitchell is getting picked right now. Thank you.
Is in, by the way.
Yeah, I know. You don't have to rub it in anymore.
Shout out Landon.
You trying to make me cry?
Shout out Landon for this early update. This is going to be Adonai Mitchell, and Adonai Mitchell will become the greatest receiver in NFL history. That is going to happen.
Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth.
Wow.
If that happens, you may not make it out of Buffalo alive.
Adonai Mitchell jersey is going to be shipped to Buffalo State University.
We come up with hypotheticals on this show to just throw them out
Landon Work is
Hey, what? I want to see what we got though.
Shay, who's that?
That is my brother.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find the.
My dad comment.
Big Chiefs guy too or no?
My dad
Big
comment.
Chiefs guy, yeah.
Oh,
Very big Chiefs guy.
Boo.
Big Chiefs fan.
Yeah,
Boo.
I'm hoping it's a third. I'm trying to see if I can.
I'll take a third for what, 3 spots?
Third and a fifth, please.
I mean, I'll take it. Man.
Honestly, I mentioned that them trading back to the Chiefs as a joke. I didn't think they'd actually
I
do it.
actually said that earlier with
But
Alex.
Brad Beach is a mastermind, so I do think that there's going
Come
to be a lot of
on,
secret
where?
thinking.
It just says that they traded.
The Bills are literally the last pick of the first round now, guys. They are the 36th.
Hey, did we win the Super Bowl?
I hope you guys aren't sick of it.
Let's go.
Must be.
We got a third and a seventh for a. We had 2 fourths. I forgot.
Okay, so we moved up from okay.
All right, so I got the trade details. We gave up picks 28, 133, and 248, but we got back 32, 95, and 221. So yeah, we gave up our
So we
comp.
moved up our seventh. We moved up from fourth to third.
Yeah, we gave up our comp fourth and got a late third now, and then yeah, we
You
moved up
said
our seventh.
128 to 95.
No,
133 to 95. What's our comp fourth?
That's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all.
An interesting thing here is the Chiefs also do need an offensive lineman. So are we going to take that guy out of BYU? I do not know. This is going to be.
Or they could still go Guyton.
By the way,
We could still go Guyton. There's still a lot of.
I think they're going receiver though. There's no way, especially with Rashi Rice's suspension looming.
Yeah.
There's no way you go into the season with Sky Moore, Justin Watson, and Kadarius Toney as your top 3 receivers.
Don't disrespect Kadarius Toney.
I'm gonna disrespect Kadarius Toney as much as I want.
He's a fantastic player. He gave you guys a win.
I will give him that.
That is very true.
And he needs to learn handoffs.
You won the Chiefs 2 Super Bowls.
He did.
I know exactly who they're taking.
Who?
You want to know?
Yeah.
No, don't say it. We're on the show, folks. What are we talking about?
I think I saw something too.
I think I saw it.
Yeah, I saw that too. It makes me happy.
I don't mind it. I don't mind
It
it.
makes me happy because I didn't want him. So
Okay, he's going to be the greatest receiver in history. if this is who it is.
There we go, folks.
Wow.
We are still on commercial break here at the draft. So who do we think this? Again, I probably shouldn't say this now since I have to read but
Who does the rest of you think that?
yeah, Evan, what are your thoughts on this one, brother?
I think Evan saw it.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Evan's thoughts are that it's a wide receiver. Because I'm the only one in here.
Are we worthy of taking a wide receiver?
Thomas, I don't think you know it's a wide receiver. I think you know it's a wide receiver.
I know the wide receiver.
Are they getting
Twitter spoils everything.
Are we
That's my bad.
About the Chiefs. They're taking exactly who you think they did. Are they worthy of taking a wide receiver? Right now?
Stop saying it, man. I know who it is.
I don't want him, so I'm fine with that. We got extra picks to say take someone I didn't want.
Wow.
Well,
Does they take someone they want?
Ooh, that's gonna be fast.
Yeah.
Whatever. Legion assume is back.
Oh, 25 drops, most in the NFL. That needs to be cleaned out.
As long as it lasts the rest of the draft, it's all this season. It will. If not, I can throw it on my phone real quick. But I don't really want to do that. With no volume, I don't know what he's saying.
Such an interesting trade. Just such an interesting trade.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Hey, no, it's gonna be like that Michael Scott meme. Like,
I don't understand.
We're gonna get the wide receiver.
I'm not. I just don't understand why the Chiefs would do it. Honestly, were they trying to jump? Like,
but who's gonna be worthy realistically?
Yeah, but were they trying to jump like Dallas? I mean, I guess maybe they're trying to jump Baltimore because obviously they're trading with Buffalo. Buffalo didn't want him, or Buffalo wouldn't have traded. So
I mean, there was talks that Mahomes did want to play with whoever they're gonna pick. I might have just said it like
you did, but
you definitely did.
But I mean, I don't mind it. I mean, I think it's a good pick, and I think it suits Kansas City well. Like, it's a deep ball guy.
The comments already know. So
it's a deep ball guy. I mean, Xavier Worthy's a deep ball guy, and the Chiefs need a deep ball guy.
The problem is, I understand Andy Reid's going to be able to do some magic with him. If you get his hands on him, it doesn't matter how fast he is. He can't beat press coverage. He's a good route runner, and he's got some speed, but you just press him, and he's nothing.
Yeah, let's get creative.
Yeah, you're going to have to get rid. I mean, and Andy Reid is the guy to do that. And Mahomes being the quarterback, they're going to be able to get the best out of him. It's just, I don't really like that for the Chiefs. I get that speed, but that size. The only receiver who's ever been at that size has been that good as Devontae Smith, and he won a Heisman Trophy.
Yeah,
he was another level. One of the best route runners in the league. He's a tactical mastermind, and won a Heisman. Xavier Worthy and nowhere near that production. Yeah, he's got the speed, but that 165 or whatever is so bad, especially since on film you can see that he plays to that size.
Yeah, they do need to get creative with him for sure. I mean, they might do something like what they did with Cole Hardman before they went to the Jets. Maybe he's going to be a jet sweep guy. Or maybe that's what jet sweep. No pun intended, but it's going to be interesting what they do with him if that's the pick. Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's the official pick, not what we just got.
Up on this one.
What are your thoughts on Worthy? Do you feel the same way about Troy Franklin?
Troy Franklin's a little bit bigger, and he's a better route runner. I feel like, he had better production. I understand he had a better quarterback. Bo Nix better than Quinn Ewers, obviously, and he wasn't battling with another first-round talent receiver. But he is a little bit bigger, and he doesn't struggle with it as much. I don't hate Troy Franklin. He's not my number one guy that I would want. He'd probably be like number 4 or 5 out of the guys remaining. But again, I don't want us to take a receiver at 32 if Johnny Newton's still available. Okay, yeah, it's official. The Chiefs are taking Xavier Worthy.
Wow. With Xavier Worthy now off the board and the Cowboys on the clock, they just moved back with Detroit a little while ago. For a little while, I say it's been like 40 minutes, but who do we think they end up with this time? Tyler Guyton, maybe?
JPJ.
No.
No, I think JPJ. You move Tyler Smith to left tackle. You have Zach Martin at left guard and JPJ at center. Who's stopping that? You're just run it behind them a bunch. And that is a nasty left side of your line that you can just run.
Everyone was talking about him being one of the best.
Back when they had Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, and Travis Frederick with that nasty offensive line, you saw how good that run game could be, and you try and recreate that. I think take a little pressure off Dak so they don't have to rely on him so much, because I think come playoff time, Dak's good, but he's not good enough to carry you. I think you have to find a way to get a good run game again, so you don't have to rely on him so much.
Who's going to be the running back? Deuce Vaughn, Rico Gallo?
I think Jonathan Wilson.
I think it's going to be a day 2.
I think they have to draft somebody. I don't think that they're going to stick with whoever they got in that running back room. I like Deuce Vaughn a lot. He was a nice, good story as the shortest player in NFL. I feel like he's not that running back.
I think John Brooks is the guy because
Pick is now in
right.
for the Dallas Cowboys.
He's right in their backyard, and
near the end of this opening round.
the people that did Jonathan Brooks surgery are the same people from Dallas. So
Love that. Love that.
they're gonna have the best shot on the medicals there.
I want to know how you knew that. I want you to give credit to you. That was like some in-depth analysis,
No,
and
yeah.
that's why I
Tell me,
like
this guy
Justin.
works for ESPN. He's
That's-
got 13 for the 19 for a reason.
Yeah, that's
man.
why Justin can go 13 for 19 and shoot 50%.
Man, smells like I don't know why he's even in the booth for us.
Nah,
there's no way. I
A little
don't think
surgical
so.
analysis.
I
you
think
know?
maybe,
Back-to-back Texas
I
players.
think Dallas could go in the second or third round for a receiver. This is such a deep receiver class, and I'll say that. I'll live and die on this. I really think that if Dallas takes a receiver at second or third round, especially since some of the receivers like Alad McConkey here, very similar to Brandon Cooks in my opinion, more of that deep threat player. Even Troy Franklin, I think, could be very relatable there, just a little bit bigger of a guy. I think that if they end up going that direction, it'll be later on in the draft. I feel like right now the O-line is the biggest need for the Dallas Cowboys.
I just got an update from ESPN that said Kirk Cousins' camp is irate that the Falcons selected Michael Penix.
Well, they should be. He just signed a contract. He's expected to be like a starter for a couple years, and they just take his replacement.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Without him even playing a snap, I think that's absurd. I would be irate too. You want them to take someone to help you win now while you're like there instead of about the future. Just like when the Packers took Love. I mean, that's a little bit different, but still, I get why. If I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm pissed.
That's a lot different. Kirk Cousins just signed a brand new deal, hasn't even done a snap with this new team, and out they come with Michael Penix Jr. Honestly, I was talking to the boys in the room. I really thought they could take a quarterback just to develop him because they're similar to Daniel Jones' contract where they can get out of it after 2 years. If he's not going to play up to expectations after this Achilles tear, they can get rid of him after 2 years, bring in Penix to take over the reins. Honestly, I would have went Leatu Latu, a guy that I don't think they necessarily need off the edge.
There we go.
We'll see. Tyler Guyton is the pick here for the Dallas Cowboys.
He's still there. I honestly, I'm talking myself more and more into the
Pick him at 32, and you just build a nasty offensive line. Deion Dawkins is a top 10 tackle. Spencer Brown's proved to be at least average. Osiris Torrance was the best rookie guard in the league last year. Jackson Powers-Johnson, I think, would be a top 5 center next year. And if you look at hit rate on centers drafted in the first round, it's like 11 out of 12 made it to their second contract. Centers just always seem to hit. It's very rare that centers bust out. And then you move. Why can't I think of his name? McGovern back to guard. If McGovern's your worst offensive lineman, you have a darn good offensive line.
Talking about a youth movement for the Bills offense.
Yeah. Yeah, from a couple years ago, yeah.
It's kind of funny to me, man. For the longest time, our team was built through the run game and built through that offensive line, and now it's the air raid and everything like that. And the big issues were the running back and the offensive line until recently.
Ravens pick is in. Do we think Adonai Mitchell makes out first?
I think so.
I think Adonai Mitchell. I think this is Leggett. I'm not gonna lie. I really love Leggett,
I
but
did hear a connection.
I think Leggett would make perfect sense in this offense. I mean, if you want to talk about youth movements, man. This was a real youth movement. Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, 2 younger guys. They get rid of Beckham potentially. There's all that there as well. It's just, Justice Hill. They got all these younger guys in that room. And honestly, I mean, that offense is looking scary.
They lost Dobbins and Gus Edwards.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
mean, they did replace him with Henry, though, so
yeah.
I don't think that's going to be a problem.
No, that's not an issue.
The Henry guy's pretty good.
Yeah, he's not bad.
The Henry guy's pretty nice. He went to a small school, Alabama.
That's Josh Norman.
He's all right.
I think the
They
Ravens.
make a stiff armor too.
I think they go wide receiver here, and I think that's why the Chiefs traded up because I feel like the
It has
Ravens.
to be.
I feel like the Ravens were looking at Xavier Worthy,
I'm not
looking
gonna
at
lie,
taking him.
Xavier Worthy would have made a lot of sense for them too. Working off that play action, he can be that deep threat that they've really been wanting for a while.
This could be a spot.
I think they could take an Adonai Mitchell, Troy Franklin. I think they also
I
fit.
really think this is Leggett, man. I really do.
I mean, I guess, yeah, but they have Mark Andrews. They have Zay Flowers. They do kind of need that big body deep threat. Bateman hasn't really worked out. I could see Leggett.
Extended him too. Did you see that?
That was weird. So maybe they don't. Maybe they trust him, and maybe they don't take a receiver. Maybe they go with a Johnny Newton, or maybe they go with a Jackson Powers-Johnson because didn't they lose some offensive linemen in this draft? Or they go with a tackle since they just got rid of Morgan Moses.
They got Linderbaum.
Oh yeah, they have Linderbaum.
Linderbaum
Yeah. But they did lose Morgan Moses. I knew they lost that, so they could go with the guy from BYU. Yeah, they could
I
go Patrick
really
Fall in
want
place.
him to fall to the Commanders because that would be perfect.
Imagine if
That's
JPJ
that's
fell to the
Chef
Commanders.
Kiss. That's Chef Kiss.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I need 6'4" wide receiver. I think they do it.
All right. Here we are at 30-31 is on the clock, which is the San Francisco 49ers. And then the Bills will be back on the clock, depending on what they do there.
There are a lot of receivers still left on the board here.
Lad McConkey, Xavier Legette, Adonai Mitchell, Troy Franklin. I just said Lad McConkey, but there's a ton. There's a lot. There's a ton. There's a lot on the board still.
Very deep.
And so we have them all ready to go here. Ravens ready to see who the pick is for them. As let's see how
I really like Jalen Polk. He's not like elite at anything, but he does everything. He's Robert Woods. Yes, he does everything.
He's Robert Woods.
Robert Woods made a couple out there.
Bobby Trees.
I'm just looking
I
down.
remember you guys as a pick.
Remember that
What
game?
would you guys' thoughts be if we took Keon Coleman? The most polarizing prospect.
I would not.
I might
be
get up and
happy.
walk out.
I would not be happy. I might have to slam the computer shut right then and there. I might have to just,
No end credits.
I
Just
mean,
go.
What if I say this? What if I say Keon Coleman falls to 60?
Oh, that's
No, I don't care if Keon Coleman's. And maybe if
Keon Coleman fell to the fourth round and he's a second receiver today.
Keon Coleman couldn't separate from ACC corners. What makes you think he can separate from NFL corners? He is a
Johnny Wilson.
Oh yes, Keon Coleman is a Walmart Mike Williams. He is bad. He is bad. He is bad.
He did fall.
He is my least favorite receiver. The only receiver that I liked out of the top receivers, he's the only receiver I liked less than Xavier Worthy.
Oh, really?
Yes. They were like the only two I didn't want the Bills
I
to
would
draft.
pick Worthy over McConkey.
Maybe for our needs, but I think McConkey's better.
Oh, no, not
McConkey's a better route runner.
Nate Wiggins.
Nate Wiggins is the pick here at 30. No receiver off the board. Bills get
That is actually that's actually not a bad trade with Marlon Humphrey battling injuries, and they don't really have much depth behind him.
Guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. 32 is the next pick for the Buffalo Bills after this one. 31 is still available for them right now. There may be a team that moves up, but if the 49ers pick does get locked in here, I think 95% sure that this is not a wide receiver. Which means that the Bills are going to be able to pick from the litter, whichever one they like the most. Which one do we think that is, guys?
Look at this 6'7" wide receiver. He is not moving to tight end.
Isn't it crazy to say that the 49ers take a Cooper DeJean?
No. Oh my God!
How is he still there? That defense would. Oh my God, that would go to them. That would be.
I mean, that's how shocked you guys are. I mean, if everyone at home watched, did you see Justin put his hands on his head in shock? How is he still available?
I really want 1 of 3 picks. Jackson Howard,
I'm John Lynch. If I'm John Lynch
Lynch,
over my chair, I mean, I'm questioning why Cooper DeJean is available. When you have a defense led
we'll
by
make
Nick
a day
Foles,
two for Brandon.
So what do you guys think he's still available? What is the reason?
Because he can't. Most teams view him as a safety, and safety is just not as valuable as corner.
Okay.
Especially in this.
Yeah, he runs fast, and yeah, he can do
some agility drills fast, but overall, I don't think he is truly athletic enough to be a number one lockdown corner.
Especially,
Sorry to be a nickel, but nickel again isn't nearly as valuable. Yeah.
And if you really say anything about Cooper DeJean, I don't think he can play outside. I'm not going to lie to you. That would be a scary thing to do, is put him outside. I think he can be decent there, but that is not where he excels. I think he excels in safety corner, as Alex mentioned before me. That is really just not as valued in this day and age in this NFL. Kyle Hamilton fall a couple drafts ago from what was supposed to be top 8, top 10 pick at least, and he falls to 14 right in Baltimore's lap. And I mean, I feel like this is a very similar situation. Obviously, DeJean not viewed nearly as high, but still a very good pick.
I thought Cooper DeJean was going to be like a top 10 pick this time last year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, going into the year, but I think just
there were some games this year where he was facing some NFL talented receivers, and he struggled a little bit on the boundary. He's an incredible playmaker. He's a great kick returner. He's a great safety. He can do a lot of things special, but because he can't be that lockdown number one receiver, I think that's why he's fallen.
And we haven't even mentioned the Iowa connection. Oh, man, he loves Iowa guys.
Yeah, and the Epinephrine.
Yep.
Oh,
but I still want Johnny Newton. Give me Johnny Newton.
Out with the old Micah Hyde Iowa safety, in with the new Iowa safety.
The guy that went to the Green Bay Packers originally, man.
Like last year, I really thought he was going to be drafted high because Riley Moss went in the 3rd round last year. And I was like, oh, this is a guy to watch. And I'm watching his film, and this guy's popping off the charts. Cooper DeJean, that was a good defense
49ers
last year.
pick is still not in, by the way. Do you think they're taking phone calls right now to potential trade up? And if so,
I think they're talking to Carolina.
Carolina.
Is
One
that your-
pick?
Shane,
2 picks?
Is that your mom?
That's my brother.
Oh.
Yo, put that comment.
Yo.
Put that comment
Yo.
there, whoever did.
Yo, Landon. Yo, that was uncalled for. You didn't need to do that to us.
Oh no.
That was uncalled for, Landon.
The whole quote out of a pair.
Wow. Landon's really taking shots at Bills fans over
Feeling
here.
of drafting a pick 32. man.
He's
Wow.
never gonna have another chance on Buffalo Sports Insider Draft Day to do this. So
Landon.
I might shed a tear. That makes me sad.
Landon's been in the comments though. Bills trading back to Casey Hayward and LMAO. They did it to Kansas City. Oh, he's been
He's
in
the
there.
number one hater of the Buffalo Bills.
That's hilarious. Is he a Bills hater?
He's not a Bills hater, but
Big
this is-
rivalry with the Chiefs.
It is a big rivalry.
One thing that's
I'm
funny.
sure it's the same way with the Bengals.
I was on Twitter the other day, and me and these two Bills fans are going after the Chiefs fan over the Josh Allen game against the Chiefs, and then at the end he's like, "Can we just all agree to gang up on the Bengals fans?" And I'm like, "Yeah, screw Bengals fans, yeah."
What is your guys' most surprising pick of the draft been so far? I mean, obviously,
Michael Penix.
I just don't understand how you got 2 quarterbacks on payroll with a top 10 contract and a 3-year, whatever it was, $186 million contract. Going to pay 4 of those guys?
4-year contract.
I mean, we're talking about a guy who's 46 and came off an Achilles, so okay, I get that. But like,
At pick 8? Exactly, at pick 8.
It's not like Kirk Cousins is using his legs a lot. Like, let's be honest here. I mean, the Achilles injury, I don't know how much it's going to do to him. I think he's still a great passer, and I think he's going to do a lot for the Falcons.
A little delayed on the comment there.
Yeah, a little delayed. But I do think the Penix one it just doesn't make any sense for them right now. They need what you said earlier, Alex. I think they need to win now. Like they need.
We have a question here from Lewandowski. Lewandowski, I'm so sorry.
Take a look at this.
What were your favorite
Yeah.
pick of the draft?
Let's see. I want to look at.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to really look at. But I think what was Latu go 15 to the Colts? Yeah, I think I might have to go way too Latu 15 to the Colts. I think that D line can wreck games. I think DeForest Buckner, Cody Pay, now you have way too Latu, who was my favorite defensive end coming out of this class. I think he is the most technically sound. I've just watching him play, he literally his pass rush bag is full. He literally can hit every single move at an elite level. And I think in a day and age where pass rush is so important, and he's in a division with C.J. Stroud and with their up and coming, I think they really needed to up that pass rush some. I think that is just great value to get Latu there at 15.
I will go with one of 2. I think these are value picks. Quinyon Mitchell, Eagles. That was their biggest need coming into the draft, and they got the best one, in my opinion. I had him slightly over Terrion Arnold. And then the Steelers nabbing Troy Fautanu at pick 20 was really good value.
We still like it. We really like that Troy Fautanu pick. He can be very versatile. I think he can really do a number of things here. So we'll see what they end up doing.
We'll come back to this conversation. We're looking at the 49ers about to make their selection. What do you guys think? What do they need to do?
I think they need a lineman. Chiefs. They need a lineman.
Yeah.
Jay
still? I think he's still there. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they need to carry this bad though.
They need every offensive lineman except for Trent Williams. The only thing they don't need is left tackle, and he's old.
I'd say everything at that point because Trent Williams is getting up there.
Yeah, so really any position on the O-line.
If they would have won the Super Bowl, I feel like Williams would have
They just
retired.
did an upgrade at running back. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Only got that McCaffrey guy. I mean, I feel
I called it. I said Ricky Pearsall could be a sneaky first-round pick.
Wow. There's our sneaky first quote, Ricky Pearsall.
Brandon Ayuk is being traded. Brandon Ayuk will be getting traded. And I'm calling him right now. He's coming to Buffalo. We're drafting Johnny Newton, and then we're trading our first next year.
What the Bills trade right now?
Cooper DeJean. Could be.
Yeah, but I think we might go defense. I think we don't go receiver. I think we trade for
Back on the clock, maybe the last pick, the last chance.
As a Gators fan, I watched Ricky Pearsall all year this year, and he is special. Not only is that one catch everyone's seen that is probably the greatest catch of ever. Yeah, he made a couple more similar to that. That's not the only one. He is the best, probably the best hands in the class. Maybe behind Marv.
but he definitely has top 3 hands. I think he's a great slot receiver. I think they're showing his highlights, and it's just big play after big play.
I don't know about you. I think he can play outside too.
Yeah, I think he can play outside, but I think he's best suited in the slot. But yeah, I think that's the oh my god, yeah. Now he takes 2 hits and still holds on to it.
We got a comment here. Surely the Bills take Adonai Mitchell here, correct?
Everyone likes
and then he said, never mind.
pay attention.
Carolina.
Bills.
Lazy fry.
Bills are trading again.
Why are we trying? Why are we lock it in? Lock it in. It's Xavier Legette. Lock it in.
Twice.
This is sick though. We have 30. Are they giving us?
DJ
No, we're not going to get that.
Another one. We got another trade.
What is going on in the Buffalo?
Is this Brandon Ayuk? And we're gonna trade for Ayuk?
Is Carolina really that back-to-back picks, bro?
The Bills trading
30
twice, man.
Okay, so we're trading pick 32 and 200, and we're acquiring 33 and 141. So the Bills will pick first tomorrow.
Oh, so that means now we basically what we did is we moved back and we got that third. We basically just got a third because the 4th we gave up in the Chiefs trade, we actually basically just got back.
This is
So now we have 2 seconds. We have 2 seconds, a third, 2 fourths, and then like maybe 2 fifths and 2 sixths or something.
Are we streaming all night until those picks the next morning?
Here you go.
We're doing it.
It's one of those 24-hour live streams.
Yeah.
No.
And the Bills trade back again. The Bills trade their entire draft for Brandon Ayuk. I guess we're staying on air until next year.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. I mean, the Bills.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
going to be Xavier Legette.
Golly. Man. It happens again.
Buffalo Sports Insider go live for damn near 4 hours just to not comment on the Buffalo pick.
Oh wow!
Wow. All right. Well, I personally think it's Xavier Legette.
I would love it.
I think it fits the Panthers perfectly. I would kind of
Johnson's there.
But they just gave Hunt the big
That's
money.
fun though. They still need a center. They still need a center.
Yeah.
I put this up for nothing.
I'm scared about like that. Like I kind of want the Bills to get him because he seems to fit what we need. But that 5th-year breakout, he wasn't anything until he was a super senior. The track record for his type is not good at all, and it really does scare me. But he's exactly what the Bills need. So I don't know.
So the Bills trading in
It's a 5th-round pick.
And then we in 2020.
Okay, so the beginning of the 5th. So and it was a comp 4 at the beginning of the 5th. So yeah, we basically back like 2 spots on that.
I'm a fan of the Bills this game.
I actually really like it because I think the guy they want is still probably there. I guess it depends on the Panthers pick.
I think it's Adonai Mitchell.
I think at this point, maybe they're like, all right, we're comfortable taking a couple of guys. So let's bolster up our day 2 and 3 picks so that they can fill out the team because the biggest goal this offseason for the Bills was to get cheaper and younger. Now that we are getting more, we get that 3rd-round pick. We still keep that 4th. Now we're getting more picks in the middle of the rounds. That's where you get your depth pieces. And Beat is really good at drafting day 3. He's hit on a lot of people like Shakir, Gabe Davis is so good, Christian Benford, Tyler Bass, as much as you want to name him, so good. Yeah, Terrell Bernard. Matt Milwaukee.
Peter just died.
Aaron Johnson.
Yeah, Teron Johnson. Like we do a lot of really good drafting in day 2 and day 3. So I don't hate it at all that we were able to pick up these extra picks. Get a lot more value now that we have that extra 3rd. I think we can fill in another need because we still have like depth wise, like I would say like 5 depth holes that we can fill up pretty easily now.
Do you think Buffalo makes this move without asking Carolina who they're going to select?
I don't know.
I feel like Carolina wanted to pick something different that Buffalo wanted, and I feel like it makes complete sense.
We're the good old Twitter and see.
It made complete sense.
Yeah, Twitter.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think that it matters really. I think they would pick either one, or Adonai Mitchell at that point, or maybe it's just neither of them, and we might be getting a
Panthers selected Legette.
But I'll tell you one thing. I like that selection there for them. I think
he fits what they need. Yeah.
Player. I think
Yeah.
as the Panthers make the fastest rebuild in NFL history, going from the worst team last year to 32nd overall this year.
They just feel like next year, again, Deontay Johnson for Bryce Young.
Not bad, not bad. Is Adam Thielen still over there? Or?
Yeah, and Adam Thielen. That's not. It's way better than last year. And then who knows? Maybe Jonathan may go take a step.
Yeah, that's true.
He could take a step.
Who do they have a running back? I can't think.
Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard.
So Xavier, we'll wrap up our first round of NFL draft. Guys, what are your thoughts on this year's first round? I know we didn't get to see the Bills pick for all the Bills fans in here, but especially you, Shay, you're a big Bills guy.
I think as being a Bills fan, I think it's kind of crazy with the double trade back. But overall,
I like
the beginning of the draft was kind of cool, but there wasn't that many trades, and a lot of it was there wasn't too many surprises other than Penix going 8. So as a fan of the NFL that likes chaos, it kind of was a little lackluster at the end because everyone took positions of need, and it wasn't like no dumb move that everyone could just jump on and then create some chaos. Besides Penix, I'm saying Penix, but then after that, usually there's at least a couple.
Well, yeah. Guys, we had an amazing night. Thank you all of you that came out here to, watch the stream. We all do greatly appreciate it.
You wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
And how's your serve coming along?
Not so good.
I think we should work on it this weekend.
Mom, Amy's birthday bash slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made.
All right, everybody, for tuning into Buffalo Sports Insider Draft Night. Thank you, everyone at Buffalo University, and thank you, everyone at Buffalo Broadcast Association. Our guest, Howard Simon and Sal Capeccio, for coming on, and our guest host speaker, Justin Sajak. Appreciate you for returning and closing out the show with us. I've been your executive producer, Deshaun Francois. We also have Steven Monaco that's been working on the technical end, and Laura, our treasurer. We appreciate so much that you guys have done for us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you Monday.